Gin Global.
A very good evening and welcome to another episode of On Point. I'm your host, Patria K.
And I'm Dennis Chung.
And we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, you know what's on my mind though for the week? What is happening in the world in terms of stability, with the US just so suddenly pulling back from out of Syria and the support they were giving to the Kurds, I think it was there. It's just creating all sorts of instability. And that for me is maybe one of the most critical things this week. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's a very interesting time to be alive in terms of the dynamics of geopolitics and world politics and what's happening.
We might get to see a world war.
No, heaven forbid, Dennis. Where do we fall in that in terms of Jamaica? I mean, one small island nation state, everybody knows our name, 3 million little people. How do we make use of what opportunities may present themselves?
I don't think that there's much we can. I mean, we're a small country. I mean, what are we going to do? They say when the elephants fight, the grass suffers. Mm-hmm. We're like the grass. We're a small country. Climate change, for example, is going to affect us small island states more than anywhere else. I mean, in terms of our tourism, our land mass might be affected, the world is really at the mercy of these large countries now.
Absolutely. Another thing that happened this week, certainly to keep your eye on, I'm still watching this Akampong story. I have a vested interest in what's happening. I physically went up there myself. And
we didn't talk about the Royal Reed and Fitzpinnock.
We must talk about that as well. There are developments happening in that space. Charges have been laid against 5 people. And an interesting discussion as to whether or not the case will be tried by, whether the Crown will be represented by the DPP's office or a fiat will be given and external attorneys will be representing the Crown.
What I like though, I like the Prime Minister's stance in terms of, hey, we are not going to talk about it as a government. We're going to allow the police and the various bodies to do their work.
Yes.
And I think that should be their approach.
Political play by the opposition expecting, and one of the calls from Peter Phillips was a blow by blow from the Prime Minister as development
and
proceeding. And I don't think that's his place.
It's not appropriate.
It's not
He
his place.
should not be involved in it.
Yeah. Well, in the world of business, a couple of things happening as well. Some interesting IPOs that we hear might be coming up. Quite a few of those are public entities that divestments are making, that divestments are going to be happening. We hear about JPS on the horizon. Yeah. We hear about the highway 2000 on the horizon. Divestments going to be happening by the government, and average people are going to be able to buy into some of these. Yeah. Are all of them good buys, though? That's a discussion to be had.
I don't think one or two of them are, but maybe they have a plan to create some value.
There's some financial education certainly that people will need to do. Yeah? Well, coming up next, folks, we've got a lot in the show. We're starting out by taking a look at the tourism development product. It's the Heritage Week, and we're looking at how are we going to do heritage tourism right in Jamaica. And then also after that, we're going to be looking at the Spectrum Management Authority and how they are preparing Jamaica to make use of technologies.
But first, let's take a look back at some of the top business stories of the week.
At number 5, U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed sanctions on Turkey over that country's military operation in northeast Syria. In his sanctions announcement, President Trump said he was halting negotiations on a $100 billion trade deal with Turkey and raising steel tariffs back up to 50%. The president also imposed sanctions on 3 senior Turkish officials and Turkey's defense and energy ministries. At number 4, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) has downgraded its outlook for the world economy, predicting that growth this year will be the weakest since the 2008 financial crisis, primarily because of widening global conflicts. The IMF's latest World Economic Outlook, released Tuesday, foresees a slight rebound in 2020 but warns of threats ranging from heightened political tensions in the Middle East to the threat that the United States and China will fail to prevent their trade war from escalating. The new forecast predicts global growth of 3% this year, down 0.2 percentage points from its previous forecast. At number 3, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro ordered a 275% increase in the monthly minimum wage on Monday, the third hike this year as hyperinflation drains the value of workers' salaries. The minimum wage rose to 150,000 bolivars, that's about $8 US, from 40,000 bolivars. Additionally, workers will receive a food bonus of 150,000 bolivars. Despite the increase, the new monthly minimum wage barely amounts to enough to buy 4 kilos of meat. According to figures produced by the opposition-led National Assembly, annual inflation in Venezuela is currently running at over 50,000%. The government does not provide data on price rises. At number 2, Jamaica's unemployment rate continues to decline. It's now at 7.8%. The latest figures from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin showed that some 1,254,100 individuals were employed in the labor force as at July 2019. A larger number of females were employed, mainly in the occupation groups clerks and professionals, senior officials and technicians, and in the industry group hotels and restaurant services. The July 2019 unemployment rate of 7.8% is 0.6 percentage points lower than July 2018. The unemployment rate for youth aged 14 to 24 years was 20.2%, a decrease of 2 percentage points when compared to the rate of 22.2% in July 2018. Statin says the decline in the overall unemployment rate reflected a higher growth in employment than the overall growth in the labor force. And at number 1 this week, for the first time in 7 years, consumer confidence in the Jamaican economy is down. Consumers' optimism recorded a slight decline of 3.5 points with an index of 179.9 points for the third quarter. The dip is associated with consumers' current realistic perception of business conditions and their expectations for jobs in the future. Business confidence also dropped significantly, going down 9.5 points, recording an index of 141.2 points. Despite this decline, however, businesses remain positive that their financial position will improve.
When we come back from the break, we're talking Jamaica and heritage tourism.
Outsourced finance and accounting service. Growing companies face a challenge. For you to stay focused on building your business, you need solid financial management with a dependable accounting function, a resource you may not have in-house. That's where we come in. Dodgen Global provides startups and other businesses with outsourced accounting and finance solutions on a fixed fee basis. No matter what your size or fundraising status, we can tailor our services to fit your needs at every stage of your company's life cycle. Whether you want to add expertise to your existing team or completely outsource your accounting and finance functions, we offer reliable and economical options, including accounting system installations and upgrades, from simple to complex, help establishing preferred banking, legal, payroll, benefits, and HR relationships, paperless online bill payment and bookkeeping, financial reporting and advice for management and investors, financial statement audit management, sales tax compliance. Our team can help you make smarter, more effective decisions. Let's have a conversation. Contact us at email info@dodgen.global, website https://dodgen.global.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to On Point. Now, all week, Jamaicans have been celebrating our rich cultural heritage. And with Monday being Heroes Day, we decided On Point to take a look at a different kind of revenue potential for Jamaica: heritage tourism.
Talks of Jamaica cashing in on heritage tourism has been happening for years. The most recent talked about stalled plan has been the one to develop Port Royal and make the sunken city a massive tourist attraction. Business interests have also expressed frustration at the government's slow pace to make this a reality and to monetize other potential tourism heritage sites. Howard Mitchell, who was president of the private sector organization of Jamaica PSOJ, at the time urged the government to vigorously pursue heritage destination status for Kingston. The government is aware of the value of heritage tourism. In 2017, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett noted that the growth in heritage tourism offers tremendous opportunity for Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. In an interview with JIS News, he said recent international tourism trends have pointed to a shift from the traditional sun, sea and sand phenomenon towards a more interactive experimental form of tourism.
Joining us now is the Executive Director of the Tourism Product Development Company, Dr. Andrew Spencer. Andrew, welcome.
Hey, Dr. Spencer.
Thank you for having me.
About the first question, what is the visitor who comes to Jamaica for heritage tourism? What are they looking for?
Oh boy, that's so broad, and I'm excited because you're doing heritage tourism, because I've often said that our competitive advantage lies in our heritage. It's one of those things that's almost impossible to imitate in another space. You can take pieces of what resemble our culture, but the actual authentic heritage of Jamaica is what we have to unearth. Mm-hmm. So the average visitor who comes to look for that, the millennial at this point, and we're looking at the future, these are the same people who stay in Airbnb, who stay in Trench Town, who go down to Seaford Town in Westmoreland. These are the kinds of people who want to, we refer to them in tourism theory as the explorer. Doesn't want to be caged in the enclave type of tourism, but wants to go out and live the life that the resident lives. That's a typical
value in that tourist, because they're not staying in the all-inclusive and they're not staying at these high-priced boutique hotels. They are a lot of times perhaps on a budget. Is there still commercial value in that type of tourist?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why this type of tourist is important, because they're the ones who want to spend in the community. It's why they don't choose expensive accommodation facilities. They'll stay in a bed in your home because they want to be able to go out and spend with the community. We've actually found that the spending for what we call the allocentric traveler is much higher than the psychocentric.
Really?
People think that the people who stay in the fancy all-inclusives are the big spenders, and some of them are. But really what you have are those individuals who want the pre-packaged tours. They spend a lot of time and effort getting credit cards so that they can pre-book, pay for everything, and come here and spend not a single dime.
But let me ask you though, Dr. Spencer. Heritage tourism has always been touted. I know Dana McCauley,
yes,
for example, has been talking about it for a long time. And we do have a lot to offer. Our food, culture.
Pike, sorry, my brain
McIntyre Pike.
Right, yes. One is environment, right?
Yes. But that's where I wanted to go
yes.
now. I mean, are we damaging ourselves in terms of how we have been treating our environment? Because the beaches are not as pristine as they were before. There's the way people dispose of their garbage, the damage that we cause to the drains and all of those things. It's a huge problem, isn't it?
It is a challenge, but I'll tell you how I view mass tourism, which is where I think you're going, versus this more sensitive type. Yeah. Per capita, you're likely to have a greater footprint on the environment, which is where I hear you going. But we feel that there's a critical mass that you need from mass tourism, and because of all that Jamaica has to offer, you can then diversify into many of these other areas that we've been trying to. And we're very committed to that, which is why Jamaica is one of the few countries in the world, and probably only one of two in the Caribbean, that has a dedicated product development company focusing on these issues, identifying the need to have more of this type of tourism. For example, we talk about over-tourism. We're not there yet in many of our spaces, but our approach to that is to divert a lot of these tourists outside of these concentrated areas into more of the unknown spaces. We have a partnership with Loop now, which is taking people to some of these unknown heritage sites and exposing them, teasing them out, getting people to understand that there's quality in some of these spaces that we just simply don't know about.
Part of why heritage tourism will be successful, or one of the ingredients,
Yes.
Jamaicans have to know about the places for it to actually work. And there are lots of Jamaicans who don't know Jamaica.
Yes, yes.
How do we bridge that gap?
You know, there have been many campaigns. We've tried to embark on a staycation campaign, which is encouraging people to visit these spaces. But most of our efforts to getting Jamaicans into the tourism space have largely been to give lower room rates so that they can stay in hotels. I made a point today at another function that the only way you get your destination right is if you focus on the right pull factor. I don't go to Paris for a hotel. I go to Paris for the Eiffel Tower.
Absolutely.
I don't go to Rome. Yes.
But you know, Andrew, I tend to try and do a lot of staycations, right?
Yes.
And visit the various spaces and things. But some of these spaces you go to, some of the falls and that sort of thing, we don't have any proper control. So it's overrun by local people who really does a disservice to the offering, you know, with the harassment, the infrastructure sometimes around the attraction is not up to scratch.
No, we understand that, and so it's sometimes a quality issue. But here's where we come in as TPDCO. We work with the community. One, you mentioned harassment. We have multiple anti-harassment initiatives that are now trying to break the back of that. You speak about quality issues. We have an entire department dedicated simply to going in and looking at what is acceptable for an international market. We're looking at, again, dispersion. How do we move people out of some spaces into another space? How do we manage effectively? We have EIAs at our disposal of environmental impact assessments, social impact assessments. We have the data. I think we're in the best possible position that we've ever been to be able to treat with some of these issues. So I hear you, but I want to make the point that Jamaica has over 100 internationally recognized attractions. I was told by someone today that it's in excess of 150. Most of us know single digits, right? I mean, if I ask people, and some people tell me they've been to 8, 9, maybe 10 of these, and I put it to you that there's a lot of quality out there. We have some upgrading to do, you know, but certainly the quality cannot just rest in those 10.
And I come back to the differentiator because all our Caribbean neighbors have sun, sea, and sand. All our Caribbean neighbors have a shared history.
Yes.
Where if we're talking true heritage tourism, their stories are going to be similar to ours. So in that 100, 150 attractions, what is going to make the Jamaica difference? That's going to have somebody in spite of the crime, in spite of the fact that Jamaica is more expensive than a lot of the other destinations, what is going to make them choose us over one of our other Caribbean neighbors that's cheaper and safer?
I'll tell you why. We already have a super advantage just with brand Jamaica. And you made the point about crime. We've had some challenges, and every time, it's an interesting relationship that you wouldn't expect. Your crime figures sometimes go up, arrival figures go up even more exponentially. And so I'm making the point that there's inherent in the notion of Jamaica already a positive image that is fighting hard against any other negativity that would come. If we carefully plan, if we are very deliberate in our intentions to get individuals to a particular level. You know, when we go in and do training with some of these individuals, we realize that some basic skills that are required to get them up to the level. So we have a product development department that does that. Then they pass them on to product quality, which is supposed to help them to get licensed. Once we are able to put that stamp of authority, we can vouch for the quality of that space. We've had some good ones over the last few years. We have the Rastafari Indigenous Village. We're proud of that. We're very proud of what we've been able to do at Bunkers Hill. There are other things that we're intending to do that are unknown. For example, some of the things we don't like to talk about, some of the darker parts of our heritage, our history. You have the Zong experience, the Zong massacre in Black River. We're about to create a monument and an entire story around it. You know what's lacking for most of our spaces? The story is not told accurately. The narrative.
And that is something that I'm curious about, because oral traditions we're going to rely on heavily to ensure that we keep to the integrity of the story. That when a tourist comes and we tell them X, Y, and Z happens, we are factually correct with the X, Y, and Z that we tell of the history, the heritage. And so from where you sit at TPDCO, how do you ensure that we are not telling the people foolishness? That the community members who are a part of this storytelling are being factual?
It's a very delicate balance, because we also have the issue of ensuring that they tell their story authentically and that we don't sterilize it to the point where it loses all of its real essence. But we have a team now, and I'm proud to say that in the last year, we've got approval to hire heritage officers. And we're going for people who are trained in the area. I have one person on staff who I call the archaeologist. So I have 3 heritage officers right now. We're planning to build that team even more, who are now going in, looking at the stories. We're the ones creating storyboards. And these storyboards that we put in these spaces, sometimes somebody doesn't even have to tell the story, but we are teaching people what the inaccuracies are, correcting those. And if you're not so sure, look at the storyboard, point to it, take somebody to that storyboard. Recently, someone took me to a storyboard we had put up and said, look, this is what we need. We're in the era of millennials who are just taking pictures. They want to go and say, I've been there. And the sign in front of Milk River Bath, for example, is not enough. They want to have the wording that's there, and they'll take a picture of that. They'll go back and they say, I was here.
Yes.
Or they just send it.
But you know, I still come back, and I mean, I think Jamaica has some beautiful places, and I've gone to quite a few of them, right? I like to every now and again head out. But I still think that we have not been able to capitalize on it. So, I mean, it's one thing to say that you go somewhere and it's in a natural state, but the natural state sometimes is not that attractive. Right. You need to build around it. I mean, I go to a lot of attractions overseas, and they develop the thing around it so that it's inviting, you know, so that the people who are there are properly authorized. You understand what I'm saying, Patrice? Yeah, that's what we need to capitalize. I mean, we have the #1 tourist destination in the Caribbean, right? Which is Dunn's River. And that's lovely. But why aren't we developing the other places like that?
Part of where Dennis is going is that there are some attractions that miss the wow factor.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a tourist that's coming here, especially when you talk about the millennials, and they're not okay with walking through and a boring, monotonous recount of a horrid history of slavery and beating of black people. They are looking to be entertained.
Yes.
How do we create the entertainment wow factor?
Important. So you see, the wow factor now varies based on your type of tourist, and we're very keen on knowing who is coming to us and who we're attracting. So you're right, there are those who want that dark history, I've discovered, and there are those who don't want that. And so the idea is the tour, the narrative must appeal to the type of individual you're attracting to a certain space. Now, as you pull them, you have to be clear on what it is you're going to direct them to. And it's the point I was making earlier, Dennis, as we continue to upgrade. Well, you hinted at something. You say, you know, why are we not doing? I'll say we are doing. The progress is a little slow, but we're in there trying to get them up to the standard. Because I know the wow you're talking about. But here's what I was saying about the model earlier. If you don't allow your attractions to be the pull, they will not attract the resources to become the pull. What am I saying? If you are coming to a destination for its accommodations, for a big brand accommodation, and then you're directed to a few attractions on its periphery, there's something fundamentally wrong with that.
Yes.
When you go to Arizona, you're going for the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
It's just a reality, you know, and so therefore you're going to pump resources into the Grand Canyon. I'm saying the same thing. You highlighted Dunn's River, which is our poster child. Some other poster children have come up over the years too. You have other ones that have the wow factor, but we are trying to identify the winners in the location. So we're taking a cluster approach. We just got funding in partnership with JSIF to look at something called the READY program, which is to help to pull these things, these attractions up to the level that any international visitor can go into them and feel that someone has put some thought into this.
There's some grassroots fundamentals, and I see the work happening, but I don't see it happening enough. I was able to go to Akangpang 100% with the directions of TPDCO sign.
Yes.
You spend Loomis there?
That's a whole other conversation. But a lot of our attractions are difficult to find. We're not big on signage, and we don't appreciate the fact that people don't come from here, not just non-Jamaicans, but even Jamaicans.
Very true.
We don't come from here. How do I find this place? And telling me that getting there is part of the adventure is not a story I buy. If I can't find it, I can't enjoy it.
Yes. No, I agree. And so we now have a big program. We have an all-island signage program. It's almost like you saw it coming. So you asked the question. We actually just committed in partnership with the Tourism Enhancement Fund, 25 million. And we're going to engage the NWA to execute a signage program to all of our attractions. Now, it brings us back to Dennis's point. If you start pointing people in the direction of these things, you better ensure that the quality is of a certain standard. So we're making sure that we get some of these things right. We're identifying the key locations that we want to showcase. And as we chart the path to getting these things ready, we're going to also ensure that when you're physically trying to go to them, you can get to them.
I'm staying on that cart before the horse. One in particular that I've been angst about is this whole Port Royal business. Pirates of the Caribbean was a gold mine for us that we should have capitalized on. We're building out this whole port facility. The ships are coming. To what? Yes.
So as the product development company, we have been brought to the table, and you asked the right question, because to have a fantastic port when the outside environs from the port.
Well, not just the port, the history of the place.
No, I know, but in order to tap into that history, let me use Falmouth as an example. In order to tap into the history of Falmouth, you have to go beyond the walls, right? So when you create a little space inside a port that looks good, and there are those who want to venture outside of that space, you have to ensure that there's when somebody comes out, that there's a walking path into a space that makes sense, and you're not stepping into sewage. These are things that the product development company, in partnership with the NSWMA, in partnership with NWA, partnership with NWC, in partnership, I put up a chart in the office of all the agencies that we interact with, and I ran out of space.
Because you're coming off of a ship, you're not mobile, you don't have a vehicle, you're new to the space, you're going to be walking.
Absolutely. And you're going to need expert tour guides as well.
Yes, but I mean, I'm happy that Patria raised a point about Port Royal, because that for me has been a bugbear.
Yes.
I ride out to Port Royal all the while, right? And it's a place where a lot of people exercise between airport and Port Royal. But when I think about it, Port Royal in itself should be like a mini Disney World with all the history and everything.
I think you should be careful how you use that, because there was actually a proposal to pass by Disney World.
I know,
that we passed on.
But it should be, right?
Yes, yes.
There's so much history out there. The food is good. You know, the history,
and
everything.
pirates
Oh
and
gosh,
buccaneers
man.
and treasure.
Outside of that, Andrew, when you look at it, my concept is that the whole strip from the airport down to Port Royal should be developed with tourism-related things.
Yes.
Right down.
And that is the discussion we're having. I mean, we're having a discussion a little late, but we're having that discussion. The KSAMC is on board with us. We're having the discussions as well with all of the partners to make sure that we have almost another elegant corridor of sorts leading into, if you want to call it a hip strip. In fact, we're thinking
it should be a hip strip.
Yeah.
That should be the entertainment place,
entertainment zone.
so that people in Kingston can sleep at night because they don't have the dances going
that we have here about Jamaica and heritage tourism, I sincerely hope carries through, because there is an opportunity. And what I love about it is the opportunity is not for the big man who own the big hotel, it is for the people who live in the communities to tell their stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
More point, folks, after the break.
Internal audit. Internal audit service is vital when organizations aim to achieve reliable financial reports and regulatory compliance, navigating risks, streamlining operations, and promoting stakeholder confidence. The benefits of a high-quality internal audit are limitless, especially when you secure yours from a firm with deep industry experience, exposure to hundreds of organizations, dedicated professionals, and proven methodologies. Whether you're looking to establish an internal audit function, attain or maintain compliance with various regulations, mitigate your risk of fraud, or gain an overall assessment of your internal controls, you can count on Dodge & Global for reliable and timely business solutions. We've helped organizations nationwide and across industries to establish internal control structures, create an internal audit function, or improve an existing one, and maintain regulatory compliance. We provide ongoing education as regulations and public perceptions change. We are trusted advisors for management and boards. External auditors can be confident in our work and its results. Let Dodgen Global be a turnkey solution for your organization. Our team can help you make smarter, more effective decisions. Let's have a conversation. Contact us at email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com.
Welcome back to On Point. Now, according to Minister of Technology Favour Williams, there are a whole slew of new technologies on the horizon. We're talking about developments in broadband. We're talking about 5G technology. Where does Jamaica sit in all of that? And what do we need to do as a country to prepare to take advantage of these new developments? That's what we're talking about on Point. My guests in the segment, we have the Managing Director of the Spectrum Management Authority, Dr. Maria Myers Hamilton, and also a band engineer at Spectrum. We're going to find out what he does. We have Ty Shan Tracy. Folks, thanks for joining us. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Let me start with you, Dr. Hamilton. Can you tell us, and for the viewers, what does Spectrum do?
So thank you, Dennis, and for having us here today. We are actually the agency that manages the monitoring of spectrum in Jamaica. We issue license, we regulate
so
the space.
What do you call Spectrum for the viewers?
Well, there is a technical term, and I'm going to defer to Taishan to give you that technical term, but if you think about it, think about radio frequency. We manage that radio frequency space, anything wireless.
Okay.
So and you have licensed and you have unlicensed spaces, of course. We focus on the licensed spaces where devices like certain walkie-talkies would work, certain radios that the ships would operate on, the airplanes that come in, how they communicate with the tower, down to the simple wireless device that you access your car. So all these, anything that uses wireless, just think of Spectrum.
If there was any agency that needed to forward plan, Spectrum certainly would have to be one.
Absolutely.
Because as life changes, as we start getting into this Internet of Things, and we start getting into these connected homes and lifestyles, everything seemingly now requires some kind of wireless connectivity that you must manage.
That's true.
How do you plan for what doesn't even yet exist?
The outlook, we would say we base our plans on the International Telecommunication Union. They have recommendations. So every 4 years, we attend a meeting called the World Radio Communications Conference, WRC, which basically lays out the regulations for what services can be used in what frequency bands. And then we take that now according to our region. So as I say region, the world is split into about 3 regions. We, the Americas, are in region 2. So we'd be following the guidelines and recommendations for region 2 based on the ITU's allocations.
Help me and my non-technical mind to get it.
All right. So
is it a finite amount of spectrum that we have? So are we going to get to a place where it's done?
Run out.
And we've run out, and then I can't turn on anything in my house anymore, or if I buy my new car, I won't be able to do the keyless entry. Is it a finite spectrum?
all right. Yes, it is finite to answer that question.
Apocalypse is coming.
Yes.
What is,
Terminator.
what is how we allocate. So say
Correct.
for instance, the FM spectrum, or FM band, which goes from 88 megahertz to about 108 megahertz.
And that one people are familiar with
That
because
one
your
people-
radio, your favorite radio station uses the FM band.
Yes, so if that space, that 20 megahertz space, is occupied with users of 200 kilohertz, so this is 0 point something megahertz.
Fraction.
Yes, fraction. So if you can have a finite number divided into that 20 megahertz, and you'll have a full band. Other people would want to get into that space, but according to the ITU regulation that I mentioned earlier, the space is just 20 megahertz. So for someone else to get into that space comfortably and not cause interference to the other users of the band, someone will more than likely have to be removed, or if technology comes along again and improves our modulation, we can shrink the space of the current occupants to allow for more.
And just to answer, segue, that's why digital switchover, which I've heard we've heard a lot of, is very important. So if we digitize the signal,
you get more.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yes, spectrum is finite, but if we digitize it, then we can operate in a more effective and efficient way.
Because you're dividing it up into more.
Exactly.
So it is the same space, but you just use it more efficiently with digital.
Perfectly put.
You see, I'm not so bad.
Not at all. We've got some new things. So I'll give you an example. If I'm in particular places and I try and open my car, my key doesn't work. When I press the little remote button to open my car doors, there are some places that it just doesn't work.
I know.
Would that have something to do with the spectrum?
Yes, it does. So again, a typical example which I like to use. This teacher, which I met, real case, she bought her car from somebody who brought it in for her. You know, she didn't go to a dealer. She parked it in an area in Portmore. When she was ready to start, it wouldn't start. So her keyless device that opens her car and starts her car is working on a frequency being used in the Portmore vicinity.
By somebody else?
Yes, and the wave itself, that transmitter, is more powerful. The power it's transmitting is higher, so it drowns out her car. So she had to tow her car out of the area completely. So imagine the safety issues with that. As a woman, a teacher possibly not getting enough money, having X amount of cash on her, and she didn't know that this problem exists.
This is a whole new way of looking at the world, because much of the technology that we use,
listen to my follow-up question on what you just asked now. So the bad service we get from cable and flow and digital in terms of the network, does the spectrum have anything to do with that?
No.
You're one of the people in problems. No, but I do want to get back to.
But they have challenges, and they have challenges with theft. To be very true to them, their services and their quality of service is affected by theft on their lines. And as soon as they put up, infrastructure, sometimes it's taken down. And this is not new only to Jamaica. All over the world, people suffer from theft or road work. If road work goes on and a person is not careful, fiber is cut and that entire line has to be replaced.
How do we keep up as a country? Because much of our technology consumption, things that we don't make ourselves, things that aren't always going to come from the United States because people can get them cheaper from the Far East, which, based on what you're saying, is a whole different region with a whole nother set of spectrum. So how do we as consumers
be informed? Yeah, so you be informed. One of the things you can do is go on our website, and there's a search engine where you type in the number, you flip over the device, you type in either the serial number or the manufacturer brand model number, and check to see if it's one of the approved items that we have done a type approval on. Once that is done, you'll know it will work because it has been type approved prior to it coming here.
But then that check is after you've bought it, eh?
No, you can do it before.
You can do it before.
But remember, it's on our website. So before you buy it, you ask the person, whoever you're buying it from, to do that check for you to determine will it work, or if it comes, what pin settings need to change. Because sometimes it's just a pin setting. So
you make an alteration to the product for it to be able to work.
Exactly. The main thing is to be informed and use this information carefully, guarded, that you don't run into a safety issue. In the middle of the night, you're going into a pharmacy, you come out and you can't start. And to get a tow truck to come and get your car now, or somebody, that's a safety issue.
What will 5G mean for Jamaica?
So 5G, right now, as Taishan mentioned, we're attending the RRC as a delegation coming up in 3 weeks' time, by the end of October.
Where is that?
It's going to be in Egypt.
Egypt.
And the entire world will be there. All 3 regions will be represented. The space for spectrum will be decided there for 5G, because right now it's still in deliberation. What will be that space for 5G? So when you think about 5G as a roadway, so the first thing, you have to build that road before now that particular car can drive on that road, which is the layer of applications and technologies. So, sure.
As in, she said space that would be recognized for 5G. In terms of space, like how I mentioned, the FM broadcast being between 88 and 108. So this would basically say identify which band, I like to say the word band, will be allocated for mobile IMT, international mobile telecommunications, or 5G. So as we can speak to our country right now, we have up to 4G LTE technology, which has been or was identified as being in 700 megahertz, 17/2100 megahertz. That was decided 4 years prior in the previous WRC, World Radio Communications Conference
So I
meeting.
hear you saying these things. What I'm wondering is whether or not we are missing out as a country.
No.
And I tell you why I asked the question.
Sure.
So when you explain to me about radio and the bandwidth of radio, I know that every household is making use of this. I can select my favorite radio station. I know what frequency it's on. Wonderful. If I stop the average person on the road and ask them what is 4G and how do they benefit from it, they probably
They
can't
don't know.
tell me.
Right.
And we're about to now talk about 5G. And so I asked the question, are we missing out? Are businesses missing out? Are people at home missing out on opportunities that they could be maximizing on with these new technologies that you are doing the work, making sure we have available to us, but we don't know what they are, so we're not using them?
So our minister is very passionate about connecting the underserved and the unconnected, because it is a big thing where the unconnected, the statistics are very large. So you and I have internet access at our homes, but the average person does not have internet access. Why? Because possibly fiber has not been run to that space, because of the terrain, a number of reasons. So wireless technology, like satellite technology, although it's not 5G, and you must remember, cutting edge is not always necessary. Typically, you go on like the 4G, fourth generation, which is a stable platform, tried and proven, and there are a number of different things that can be run, like telemedicine. We just had a recent forum in Montego Bay where we demonstrated using a satellite link telemedicine, where a doctor would sit in a rural community, take the vital signs of persons and feed it back to his colleague in Kingston. The doctor in Kingston is looking at the person to determine if this person needs to be air ambulanced into Kingston, or it's nothing, it's not a biggie. Antibiotics can be treated, based on the symptoms. So what am I saying? The truth is, the main task, what we need to do is to get that underserved and underconnected on. Because as I said before recently, information in the digital age is a birthright.
But let me ask you, is it possible to go to a new technology, and given the infrastructure and the appliances we have here, it actually makes it worse than it was before?
No, it depends on planning. Okay. So when you roll out any form of application, you have to be mindful of a number of variables. Sometimes the capital outlay is the only thing persons think about, but the other side of it is the whole operating costs, the continuity, the business continuity back end. So take something like telemedicine, or even distance learning, which is a big thing, reaching persons within their community and carrying education into the field rather than forcing a child or a person to drive to a location. You plan for the layout, but then it has to be maintained. So the hotspots, there has to be a cost associated with constant maintenance. The content, the digital content also has to be developed. So there are a number of facets, and when you're planning a digital strategy, all the components must be included.
You just raised an issue that I don't even know how you sort this, because much of the usage of the spectrum will be by people who are seeking free applications, free apps. You purchase your fancy refrigerator that's going to tell you what's not in there and what you need to go shopping for. There's really no cost to that information coming to you. But you would have had to spend, I'm assuming, to be able to make the spectrum available for that conversation of things in my house. What's your revenue model like, since people are trying to get
not
free?
Us. That's not us.
Well, wait, I'll answer
go
the
ahead.
non-revenue part. Maybe you can answer the revenue part.
Sure.
About the aspect of connected items and connected. So you mentioned the fridge, you mentioned the microwave connecting to each other, but that all has a space or a band for itself. So the unlicensed band, I think our director spoke about, we pay attention to the licensed band, but there's also an unlicensed band. So Wi-Fi, Bluetooth.
So you don't manage that side?
So it's there. We tell you that our manufacturers out there build their devices to operate in that band. So everybody, lots of devices operate in that band. So it's kind of interference high. So it's usually a hopping technique within that band to find a good stable signal to operate. But we don't need to manage that band because it's, like I said, pointing back to the ITU and the recommendations, they have allocated that space or band for unlicensed use, and manufacturers like that band. So most of their devices that they manufacture will be operating in that band.
Very complicated stage.
Yeah.
So like your Bluetooth, your headpiece.
That connects with my phone.
Yes, that's
Your-
not
Not
like
you.
no.
Your Wi-Fi router, it's us, but it operates in an
Does it
unlicensed.
make
Correct.
it easier to eavesdrop on an unlicensed band than a licensed band?
I would say, I'm not sure, but in that case, in a licensed band, you can claim for interference. So say, for instance, you have a point-to-point dish network setup, for backhaul or whatever reason. If you experience any interference or suspecting any eavesdropping on that signal, you can come to us because you have already paid for that.
Correct.
And that's your licensed spectrum to use. So it's part of your network, and no one else apart from you should be on that frequency.
Dennis has gone into spy mode, and I'm not going down that road with him, folks. Thank you so much.
Make sure you get your
for
license
joining
band here.
Thank you so much for joining
You're
us. We
welcome.
had with us two folks who taught me so much today, Dr. Maria Maris Hamilton and also Tai Shay Tracy. We'll take a break. Go again? Taishan Tracy. We take a break and come back with more On Point.
Corporate restructuring services. In today's evolving commercial and economic environment, businesses are continually seeking opportunities to manage operating costs and tax positions, as well as contain cash expenditures. Entity structuring can help achieve these goals, but often presents many challenges for multinational corporations. In addition, the OECD's Base Erosion and Profit Shifting (BEPS) proposals are expected to impact the bottom line of affected organizations and result in some business restructuring. Crow Jamaica delivers an integrated approach to clients' corporate and reorganization needs. Services include simplifying group structures, executing domestic and cross-border transactions including mergers, demergers, disposals, and company migrations, transferring assets and business units, aligning legal structures to business models, establishing national or regional hubs, converting subsidiary company structures to branch structures and vice versa, integrating legal structures following a merger or acquisition, providing practical advice and assistance throughout the planning, development, and implementation phases of corporate reorganizations. Crow Jamaica assists businesses and other advisors in developing and implementing efficient, cost-effective legal structures and business operating models. Our team can help you make smarter, more effective decisions. Let's have a conversation. Contact us at email people@crowjm.com. Website www.crowjm.com.
Violence against women is a violation of human rights. Its impact ranges from immediate to long-term physical, mental, and sexual consequences, sometimes resulting in death. It negatively impacts women's general well-being and can prevent us from fully participating in society. Be a better human being. No more violence against women. No more.
Welcome back to On Point. Heritage tourism is big business across the globe. Just how big? Here are the numbers.
40% of international arrivals are considered to be cultural or heritage tourists. It's estimated that the direct global value of culture and heritage tourism is well over $1 billion. The Asia Pacific APEC region rakes in approximately $327 million of this amount, directly providing some 50 million jobs and another 75 million jobs indirectly across the region. The most popular heritage tourist site in the world is the Great Wall of China, which saw almost 10 million visitors in 2018.
And our On Point team hit the streets and asked, how can we use the richness of our heritage sites to attract more visitors to Jamaica?
I believe that proper maintenance is very important, and taking care of this garbage issue that we have a problem with, making sure that the attractions are always clean.
Remodel that to them, like change color, paint, maybe new design.
Basically, the government can create more events for persons in like local people to go to at these sites to get to learn more about their culture. Because most persons aren't really educated about how things went down back in the day, so having the knowledge about your history would actually, make people want to know more about you, because you know your history.
It has to come in a package, a whole package with food places to relax and so on. And people who can tell the story of what the historical site is about.
Could make them more attractive by beautification, planting up flowers and stuff, maintain them properly, do more advertising.
I would say we could create some form of package deals around the specific heritage site. So it's not just about going to the heritage site, it would be like an event. So you would go to the heritage site, you might have dinner while there, or do a fun activity while there, or get some form of entertainment while there to make it more of an experience instead of just visiting somewhere.
It's not only about what the leadership of the country or the persons who are so charged to do the thing. It's about the nation as a whole, wanting to enhance themselves and to better themselves. In other words, there has to be a national mindset. It has to be about patriotism, and the desire to see your country move in the right direction. I'm not so sure that nationally that sentiment is commonly held.
Great design is not only how things look, but also how well they work. The GLC, more than meets the eye.
It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test. It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test.
Free eye testing is back and it's here to stay. Island Eyewear offers free eye testing every day, all day at all locations island-wide. Conditions apply. Make your appointment today at www.islandeyewear.com or call us 630-1180. Island Eyewear, your style, your price.
It's Island Hour, free eye test.
so much to unpack out of that show. I particularly love that discussion with TPDCO.
Yeah, no. And when you brought up the point about Port Royal, it just shows how much we have not been able to capitalize on what I think is the biggest value added that we have a competitive edge, which is our heritage, our culture. I mean, Port Royal in any other country would have been a worldwide attraction.
Number one.
We just leave it there to rot.
I mean, I still have questions. And if we're going to talk about heritage tourism, the stories are one thing, but also the artifacts that back up the story are another thing. Where are the chests of gold and what's left of the sunken city? How much of that can we put our hands on as a country? How much of that have we been able to dig and save? And is it sitting in somebody's special living room somewhere?
I don't know.
The artifact side of things is equally as important if we're going to roll out the heritage tourism.
And you're right. I mean, we don't know where all of that is. We're not a country that treasures our history, you know. We don't preserve things, you know. And we can see it in our infrastructure. Once we build something, we just leave it till it run down, and then we build something else.
I know. I mean, you talk about your travels, and I've gone to quite a few countries as well, and they've hyped up these destinations, and I go there with this huge expectation because I go there with my Jamaica, which is high, you know, as a Jamaican. There's a high level of expectation and entertainment value that you expect, and I go to some of these places, and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, but they attract a lot of visitors worldwide.
Absolutely. What it would crush me if anybody came to one of those places that we touted as being a great Jamaican attraction, and the takeaway was that's it. I certainly feel like Port Royal right now is a letdown. It's a
huge letdown. I mean,
it's a missed opportunity.
I think that we could have earned billions of US dollars from Port Royal. I mean, the people who are living there, who are basically living in close to poverty, should not be, because it just has so much value potential.
Absolutely. And then the other discussion with Spectrum was another interesting one. I certainly learned a lot because it wasn't a space that I knew much about and how allocation was done and how we plan for the future. What is interesting is a lot of technology is being injected into our future.
Yeah.
And how much are we as a government planning for that technology?
I don't, it's true. I mean, technology really, you can't do without it today. I mean, if your internet is down at your house for 10 minutes, it's like having babies. You know, if you don't have a computer at work, you're unproductive basically. And when I look at all of that, and I look at how unstable our telecommunications and internet services in Jamaica, I don't think that the government and the OUR has done a proper job to ensure that we have that stability, because that's our productive base.
Absolutely. As the world gets smaller as well, there's going to be this real consideration, because the internet is making everything available to everybody, and we're chasing price. And so if the cheapest car is in Japan, we're going to buy the car in Japan, and then when it comes here and it doesn't work, what's the repercussion for consumers? It is something that manufacturers are going to have to wrap their minds around, as well as the Consumer Affairs Commission right here in Jamaica. But that's where we're going to have to wrap the show today, folks. The very hardworking crew deserve all our thanks. Thank you for everything that you do. Thanks also to you, the viewers, for tuning in to another episode of On Point for one more week. I'm Patria K.
And I'm Dennis Chung.
See you next week.
On Point was brought to you by Dodge & Global.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life, highlighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo. Only on Business Access TV.
Stay current and gain more information on the ever-evolving industry of real estate on Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
It is said that a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. Tomorrow, on National Heroes Day, we will honor our local heroes during the National Honors and Awards Ceremony at King's House. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. We have an interesting show lined up just for you, so stay tuned as we turn the pages of your favorite program.
It's the 9th staging of the JIS Heritage Competition, and this year we're talking slavery and reparation. Entries are now open, so listen up. Primary and prep school students, this is what you should do. Imagine that you are one of the 7 national heroes. Make your case for Jamaica to be compensated for the effects of slavery. Answer this question in an essay of 400 to 500 words and submit using the application form on our website, jis.gov.jm. Entrants must be aged 9 to 12 years old. Secondary students, the poster competition is for you. Submit your digital or illustrated posters to depict the theme, Jamaica, a case for reparation. The photo competition is open to tertiary students in accredited Jamaican institutions. Send us a photo, also representing the theme, Jamaica, a case for reparation. All entries should be submitted using the application form on the JIS website. For more information, contact 876-922-3590, extension 2137 or 2132. You may also email heritageessay@jis.gov.jm, heritageposter@jis.gov.jm, and heritagephoto@jis.gov.jm. Deadline for entries is Monday, October 28. Go ahead, express yourself in the JIS Heritage Competition 2019.
The Transformation Implementation Unit, which was established in 2017 by the Prime Minister, is the first of its kind, responsible for enabling a modern and efficient public sector in Jamaica. Find out more on Get the Facts.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Andrews Campbell. Now, today we're looking at the progress being made by the Transformation Implementation Unit and the way forward. And my guest is Executive Director Maria Thompson-Waters. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Andrews.
Tell us about the TIU. Why was it established and what's the purpose?
The TIU was established to implement public sector transformation. It is the first of its kind in the public sector. Over the years, we've done public sector transformation, but there's never been a unit dedicated to implementing the plans. And our unit was established to do that in 2017 by the Prime Minister. And our objectives are ensuring that for public sector transformation, we deliver effective customer service consistently. So we transform the public service so that we can have effective customer service delivered consistently.
Yes.
We have knowledge-based workers who are trained and properly compensated. We have a digital government.
That's what we're hoping to have, right?
That's what we're hoping to have. So
yes.
these are our long-term objectives.
Right.
Yes.
And this is only 2 years old. It seems like it's been around for a while, though.
It does feel that way. The public sector has been going through transformation for some time now, about 30 years.
Okay, we're
So
getting
it
into
does
that
feel way.
transformation. And your vision is for a modern public service that is fair,
Yes.
that values people, and you said before, consistently delivering products and services.
Good customer service.
Yeah, but how do we compare now? Because I'm a part of the public service.
Of course. And we have made some progress. If you look at some of our executive agencies, we started off with 8 executive agencies. We're now at 12. And the focus of executive agencies is to do just that, deliver services promptly and effectively. So if you look at PICA, you look at RGD, the difference before these agencies were transformed is amazing. It would take you sometimes years to get your birth certificate. Now you can do that in 24 hours.
Yes.
So there have been strides made, but there are stops and starts.
Yes.
What we have is a program now that will take us consistently through the next 6 years to ensure that we have all the foundation that we need to transform in this digital age.
Yes, but fair and one that values people, explain that.
Of course. So have you ever been to the hospital?
Yes.
And you're waiting to see the doctor. Everybody's miserable. You get into a contention with some of the workers at the hospital, and persons come out and say, boy, government no fair, This is, because they're not saying the hospital isn't fair.
Okay.
Government isn't fair. When people get bad service, it reflects on all of us in the public sector. And so we want a public sector that treats people evenly, no matter where you are or where you're from.
Right.
People are treated fairly. And all of this we can achieve through effective customer service.
Yes, yes. So you're into training?
We are into training, we're into upskilling public officers, because this is the digital age.
Yes.
We need to ensure that our public officers have the skills that are required for them to compete and work in this age. So we're into training and upskilling. Change management is a big thing. Transformation is all about
Tell us
change.
about that change management.
Transformation is...
Because change, once you say change, people are thinking, oh, I'm going to lose my job?
Yes.
Yes.
No. What we're saying is we need to prepare you for this new way of working.
Yes.
So we're not assuming that everybody is going to embrace the change, because change is scary. What we've done so far is we have trained and certified 80 public officers as change managers, so that they can help guide the other employees in their organization through all of the different things that are going to be happening.
Right.
And we will be training another 60 in this month, trained and certified, so that we have an effective army of change managers. So when we are implementing all of these various projects, these efficiency projects, which will change the way you work, persons don't get uncomfortable and scared about what's in their future.
Are we saying that there is nothing right about the public sector as it is now? What is right about it?
Oh no, there is a lot right about the public service. One of the basic things we say in the transformation implementation unit is that if you look across the world today, our public sector can compete with almost any public sector, and if our program is developed to focus on what we call the foundations of public sector transformation, enabling persons to do the very best that they can do. Nobody comes to work and say, well, I'm coming to work to do nothing today. But persons need the tools, they need the technology, and they need the right use of their skills.
Yes.
And so there is a lot that is good in our public service today, but we can be so much better.
All right. Tell us about some of the other problems that you're trying to fix and how you're going to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so efficiency.
Yes.
We talk about delivering good customer service. Efficiency. How efficient are we? If you're dealing with a matter that has to do with 3 different public bodies, you have to go to each public body. You may get a different response. How do we ensure that we have efficiency and consistency in the public sector? This is through shared services. So with our shared services project, we are pulling out of ministries and departments some of the what we call back office work, finance and accounts, the administrative part of HR, procurement, internal audit, asset management, and delivering those services back into the public service in a shared environment where we will have one organization delivering across all of the public sector.
Right. So, what are some of the areas that you're going to be using as shared services?
As shared services.
Yes.
So, we have HR, but the administrative HR. So things like your personal letters, onboarding, recruitment, training, those things will be delivered through the shared services. Internal audit, which is where we do our annual audit reviews or biannual audit reviews, those will be done through the shared services. Procurement, can you imagine currently you have each ministry that buys its own paper. Can you imagine one organization purchasing for everybody, the amount of bargaining power you have doing it that way? So those are some of the areas that we are looking at, IT services to be delivered through a shared environment.
Okay. All right, let's take a break now. And when we come back, we continue to discuss the Transformation Implementation Unit. Please stay with us.
The following is brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with kind support of NIA and USAID.
Criminal minds think they are cunning. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency have them running. Your friend a shout, come scam. Take time running, are we ready for the ops? Drive up on your block, step out now me block, cyber take about your laptop. Pull up every lock, no evidence to drop. We put it in a cuffs and now we have the underground. Sin you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Feel say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for. From you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Feel say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for.
The proceeding was brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with the kind support of NIA and USAID.
MOCA, MOCA.
Welcome back to Get the Facts, and we continue our discussion with Executive Director of the Transformation Implementation Unit, Maria Thompson Walters. Before the break, we were discussing the shared services. Tell us a little bit more. How will it work? People are going to be moving from one ministry to the next. Tell us about how it will work.
So the shared services will operate in two ways. The persons will be able to be employed within the shared services to provide the same service back to their ministry. Positions will be open. It'll be an open competitive process for employment within the shared services. It will also
open competitive
process,
which means
that the positions in the shared services, once they're established, will be advertised within the public sector for public sector officers who are interested in maybe making a change in their career or would want to continue if they were employed in these areas before, to come and work in the shared services in an expanded way, because you're now working for the entire public sector.
Does that mean more pay?
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. But also, it will free up public officers to concentrate on more strategic work and ensuring that the policy direction of ministries are fulfilled.
Yes. So if I work in a PR company, for example, and that is one of the services that will be shared, right?
Right.
So, and what happens if someone interviews for that job but was not competitive enough, and so he or she loses that job? What will happen?
Well, they wouldn't lose the job. So we are doing several things at the same time. We understand that there are opportunities that come about with public sector transformation. You have persons who may find that they actually have a talent for data analysis. That is going to be a job that is going to be in high demand across the whole public sector. We will now be able to have data on how we spend, what we spend. We can analyze that information, make proper forecasts, look at trends, look at what we need to do in the future. So there's a whole exciting world that opens up. And you never can tell exactly what you may have an affinity for. So there will be opportunities. You may be working in PR today, but you may see a data analyst job in the Ministry of Finance and realize that actually, this is really where I should be. So it's not a situation where I'm in PR. I applied for a job in PR, shared services, and I didn't get it, so I'm going to go home. Right? But also there's the option for persons to decide that they actually want to do something different outside of the public sector. And that too is up to.
So we're thinking HR, PR, audit, you said?
Internal
audit,
yes. Finance and accounts, asset management, procurement, and IT services.
Excellent. So where are we with that now?
Right, so we've completed all of the business cases to see whether or not this is a good investment, it's a good area for government to invest. And the business cases have all come back positive. And we've just completed procurement for the consultant to come on board to help us with the establishment of all 7 shared services. We're far advanced with HR and internal audit, and we expect to start those pilots in the next fiscal year.
Yes, okay. Good job. All right, we started talking about what you're planning to fix with this TIU. You spoke about inefficiencies. Let's go to some of the other things that you're trying to fix.
Sure. So we have, in the public sector, we've found that there's an inadequate use of ICT. And part of that is because we don't have the capacity or the network to allow us to speak to each other electronically. So if I'm at the Ministry of Finance and I need to get information or a file from Office of the Prime Minister, to get in my car, drive to Office of the Prime Minister, drive back down with the file, or get the information there and come back to the Ministry of Finance and do my work. Whereas if we had a single government network, we would be able to access that information as we need it without leaving our desks. So the cost, the transactional cost, because remember now you will have to be, you're charging traveling. So if you're a traveling officer, your mileage, you have to pay for mileage. The cost of the time of the officer to leave their desk, go and get the file, come back to their ministry to do their work. Those things, ICT solves those issues. And so we're rolling out GovNet. And I know we've heard about GovNet for years and years and years, but we are rolling out GovNet. NWA has completed their fiber network, and we're going to be working with eGov and our consultant to connect all ministries and departments to this fiber network, which will enable the type of data sharing that's needed. So cut down on transaction time for things. We will ensure that there is more use of ICT in what we're doing. And that will go to also increasing our efficiency. And then we have our processes that have been developed for some time now, let's put it that way. And those processes will need revamping. Once we digitize some of the operations of government, the existing processes will also have to change to accommodate this faster way of operating, which will serve to bring services faster to our citizens. So we won't have this excessive bureaucratic processes that we have today.
Anything else? All right. Okay. So tell me, we know how this benefits the country.
Yes.
You know, but how does it benefit the public servant?
Right. So public sector transformation, I believe, is of, I would venture to say, is actually of more benefit to the public officer than citizen. Primarily because it allows persons to execute their job in such a way that puts them on the same level as any other country, any first world country. That is what we are aiming for. You know, the ability to, as a public officer, and I've worked in the public service myself for quite some time, it is difficult to hear on the call-in programs and people saying, boy, you know, civil servants, they don't care, and, you know, the complaints and the complaints and the complaints. I know we don't hear the praises, but it's always hard to hear the complaints. So you can imagine the pride you have in being a public officer in an organization that is serving both your internal and your external customers.
And we're sure that this is not about cutting jobs.
No, this is not about cutting jobs. This is absolutely not about cutting jobs. Saying that, there will be changes. it would not be fair for me to say that there won't be changes. There absolutely will be changes, but we are putting everything in place to support people through those changes, wherever those changes may lead.
Right. If you were to speak to the public sector now, what would you say to them?
To the public sector, I would say to them that engage in public sector transformation. Talk about it. Don't just have a water cooler chat. Talk about public sector transformation. Ask in your staff meetings, ask your senior officers, what is happening in public sector transformation? Reach out to the TIU. We are on all areas in social media. So reach out to the TIU, but get involved in public sector transformation. Find out how you can get involved in public sector transformation. There's a lot of offering here, and we want you to take advantage of it.
Okay. So we're closing on this, but where do we go next?
Right, so next we focus on completing the rollout of shared services, completing the rollout of GovNet. We're looking at efficiency projects in 3 ministries, and of course, getting into the compensation management project for the public sector.
Excellent.
Those are our next goals.
Thank you so very much for sharing with us today on Get the Facts. It was a delight.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
Good. So this has been Get the Facts with our guest, Maria Thompson-Walters, who is Executive Director of the Transformation Implementation Unit. Until next time, I'm your host, Anthony Campbell. Take good care.
Motorists, when driving on the road, here are some simple reminders. Look out for and extend courtesy to all road users. Give plenty of room to pedestrians, especially in wet weather. Drive slowly. No bother wet them up. Slow down when approaching a pedestrian crossing or school, and always be prepared to stop. Remember, a school zone is a 30-kilometer zone. Cut your speed. Drivers of large and slow-moving vehicles should always keep in the far left hand of a dual carriageway. Keep it simple. Drive left and pass right. These are just simple reminders of your road duties. Drive safely.
On Monday, over 100 persons will be awarded at the National Honours and Awards Ceremony at King's House. In the field of science, Professor Gerald Layla will be receiving an Order of Merit and Errol Rickman a Badge of Honour for meritorious service.
Over 140 persons will be awarded at this year's staging of Jamaica's National Honours and Awards Ceremony, being hosted on the lawns of King's House on National Heroes Day. Heading that list is Jamaican scientist Professor Gerald Layla, who will be awarded the country's third highest honour, the Order of Merit. Professor Layla is being recognized for his eminent contribution to Jamaica and the world's development through the application of science, technology and innovation, as well as his service to the public and private sectors. Among his numerous distinctions over the years, Layla has been awarded the Order of Jamaica and the Order of Distinction Commander Class.
Professor Layla receiving the Order of Merit is a real recognition of his contribution to nation building and socio-economic development, the impact that science can play in this. I mean, I think for far too long it's been overlooked how important science and technology is to the growth of a nation. Prof. Layla, I believe, recognized this decades ago, long before it became popular. Prof saw where the application of science and technology to our common problems in Jamaica and in the region can play a huge role, and it's proven it. It's there now. The rest of the world has caught up with him. So he was so far ahead of the rest, he wasn't able to hear the applause at the time. But now we've finally caught up with him, and I think he's been duly rewarded and honored. He started off in industry, in the logwood dye industry to be precise, and patented a process to produce dye from logwood that was so incredible that the persons at the company decided to send him up to the University of the West Indies to complete a master's degree. And then from that led to his PhD at Cambridge, I believe, in the 1960s. So, and he came back to academia following that, and his career grew steadily from there, leading to him becoming the head of the chemistry department, and then up to becoming the second principal of the Mona campus. He was the founder for the international, well, it was then called the Center for Nuclear Sciences. We later became the International Center in about 1995, I believe. So he was the founder of this institution. He has done some groundbreaking work in terms of the effects that trace elements, these are metals and so on that are in the soils, how this impacts on agriculture, on health, human and animal health. So the work he has done has been outstanding, has been recognized internationally for what he has done. So he's been an outstanding scientist in this field.
Also being recognized for contribution in the field of science is Errol Anthony Rickman, Jamaica's very own astronomer.
Astronomy was regarded as the first phase of science in the world. From people started looking up in the sky without anything and checking the stars. Ever since I was in school, I had an interest in the skies. And in those days, I used to go to an elementary school, and the teacher used to take us outside to for when the sun was passing straight overhead and things like that. I fooled around with it for a while, and I tried to find out if there was an astronomy class in Jamaica. They had one at UWI. But in those days it was University College of the West Indies. And I found out that the astronomy club was operating in there, and I joined them. I feel very proud of that award. And as I said to one of my friends, the important thing is not me personally, but the club, the astronomy club. Some very illustrious people who started the club in the past, and they have never got any recognition. And I'm really proud to be able to say that I am the awardee for this thing. I have been doing the Galileoscope program, which is a very important thing to us. We give kids this kit, which they can make up a telescope. They can see exactly how the telescope works. They look for the concave lens and the convex lens and put them together and fit them in the groove, and it's finished, you know. And each set of children that come into the school, we ask them to pull it down and set it up again for them, because it doesn't come in. So it's an ongoing thing, you know. And for a small telescope like that, it's very good. The whole system looks very, very good.
Professor Gerald Laylaw and Errol Rickman have worked assiduously over the years, transforming the scientific field, creating a foundation for like-minded individuals to pursue and attain their goals.
National Heroes Day is a holiday celebrated here in Jamaica on the third Monday in October. It celebrates the country's 7 national heroes and highlight modern everyday heroes. See, a hero is a person who is admired for their courage, their outstanding achievements, and noble qualities. These qualities are inspiring for current and future generations to help Jamaica grow, which is why we set aside this day every year as a country to say thank you for your service. You can watch the Heroes Day ceremony tomorrow on television starting at 9 a.m. as we recognize those individuals who continue to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Thanks for watching another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll do this all over again. Until then, send your feedback on today's show to JamaicaMagazine@jis.gov.jm. You can also follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, there's Twitter. Download our app on your Apple and Android devices, and you can also visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more information. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
My name is Christelle Harris. You're watching Business Access TV. Serious about business.
CARICOM News Time is brought to you by Dajin Global.
Prime Minister Gaston Brown says financial reparations are the best way to amend wrongs. Montserrat holds elections next month, and the region observes Caribbean Statistics Day. Welcome to this week's edition of CARICOM News Time. I am Michelle Nurse with the details. The issue of reparations has once again been brought to the fore. This time, there was a focus on the economic implications during a symposium under the theme Western Banking, Colonialism and Reparations. The symposium was held in Antigua and Barbuda on Thursday, the 10th of October. The discussions explored the historical roots of Western banks in financing and profiteering from the enslavement of Africans and their descendants in the diaspora. Key speakers included Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, the Honorable Gaston Brown, Chairman of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, Sir Hilary Beckles, and the Director of the Center for Reparations Research, Professor Vereen Shepherd. In remarks at the opening of the symposium, Prime Minister Brown emphasized that financial reparations were the best way for the colonizers to make amends for the wrongs they had committed. He said that there was no need to be intimidated to make a financial claim to complement any in-kind settlement that may be offered. He added that the Europeans used an inhumane and brutal extractive economic model to control the Caribbean as a zone of wealth creation to fund their development. He said that they presided over the brutal genocide, resulting in the deaths of millions of Africans, and created a system of slavery and colonialism. He explained that it was a system of wealth creation that involved the use of 3 million unpaid and underpaid African workers for 400 years. The symposium was hosted by the CARICOM Reparations Commission in collaboration with the Center for Reparation Research and the Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Support Commission. Montserrat goes to the polls on the 18th of November. Premier Donaldson Romeo made the announcement on Monday.
Fellow citizens, residents, and friends of Montserrat, the time has finally come for me to announce the dissolution of Parliament and the date for the 2019 general elections. I met with the acting governor, Her Excellency Mrs. Lyndall Simpson, this morning, and I can now confirm that the instruments for the dissolution of Parliament have been signed. Further to that, I must now announce the date for the 2019 general elections. The date is 18th November 2019. I look forward to a very lively campaign where all ideas contend. And as usual, free and fair elections.
Later in the week, the Premier announced that he had been replaced as leader of the incumbent People's Democratic Movement, the PDM. In a radio broadcast on Wednesday,
He said that Mr. Paul Lewis, his Communications, Works, Energy and Labour Minister, was the new party head following an election held on Tuesday to review the PDM's leadership position in a democratic way. Products that could be patented have been developed by young people in Jamaica who were involved in workshops held by the CARICOM Secretariat under the Creativity for Employment and Business Opportunity model. 2 entrepreneurial training sessions were held at the Medallion Hall in Kingston, Jamaica from the 7th to the 11th of October. One involved involuntary returned migrants and at-risk youth. The other was a training of trainers workshop involving youth empowerment officers and other youth leaders. It is anticipated that the transference and use of the skills they acquired would lead to reduced youth unemployment, less drug use, and a reduction in crime and violence in society. From insect repellents to designer T-shirts, Jamaican youth were full of creative ideas for employment and business. The workshop provided the opportunity for them to pitch their concepts to and be interrogated by loan officers at a simulated SIBO bank. They received seed funding and also benefited from coaching by business development specialist Ricardo Foster of Alfran Development Limited. The participants also had the opportunity to test the viability of their products in the market and were expected to provide profit and loss statements. Expert and experienced national and regional facilitators guided the sessions to ensure that they developed skills in effective communication, decision-making, and conflict resolution. The participants were guided in developing short to medium-term self-improvement plans. By the end of the training, they understood how to structure a company with assigned personnel and a business plan. The workshops were made possible through interagency collaboration among the CARICOM Secretariat, the Government of Jamaica through the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, and the European Union under the CARIFORUM EU Crime and Security Program. CARICOM's Assistant Secretary General for Trade and Economic Integration, Mr. Joseph Cox, said he's buoyed by the outcomes of the agriculture activities in Belize City earlier this month, and that the community was on the cusp of achieving greatness within the sector.
The week of agriculture, frankly, it was I would consider it a huge success in the sense that what you had was a combination of several strategic interchanges. So days 1 and 2, you had the Planners Forum, where you had the discussions ranging from what's happening at the sectoral or the subsectoral level to wide-ranging conversations regarding women in agriculture. You have conversations regarding developments in cannabis, and how the sector can strategically reposition itself, particularly within the context of what has happened now in terms of in the States and some of the possibilities that are emerging in terms of allowing people to bank their proceeds, those who are involved in the cannabis trade, the official cannabis trade, from banking their funds.
The region has serious concerns about the possibility of 2 diseases infiltrating the sector, and these were raised in Belize.
There was a very serious discussion that occurred on the African swine fever, to which end the ministers actually made a declaration at the end of the meeting. And what makes this particularly serious is that this particular, I call it a pandemic, has already wiped out 50% of the pig population in China. We don't have it in the region, so therefore we have to take this extremely seriously, because once it gets into our neck of the woods, it can be seriously problematic. Because the truth of it, from what the experts have advised me and advised us, this thing has been, because it's resistant to heat, chemical interventions, etc. So it is resistant to the process. And so therefore, that's the kind of thing we have to look at. They also had a particular look at there is a disease that's also affected bananas, to which also another statement was released. So by and large, what we found there is that, and the week was rounded out, not just with meetings, but the week was rounded out with a tour and a field trip where people literally went into some of the factories, some of the fields to see exactly what's going on. And I will tell you this much, that the use of drone technology, etc., is, you will see the strategic and practical use that's being brought to bear. And I would, coming out of this week of agriculture activities in Belize, I can tell you I feel buoyed. I feel that we're on the cusp of really achieving greatness within the sector. As for us now to really bring all the players together so that we have the absolute optimal outcome for this region.
18 Caribbean jurists were honored in Trinidad and Tobago on Monday. The first Eminent Caribbean Jurists Gala and Awards ceremony was organized by the Caribbean Court of Justice Academy for Law, the education arm of the CCJ. It was aimed at promoting the recognition of judges and other legal practitioners who have made a consequential and lasting contribution to Caribbean jurisprudence and to memorialize that contribution. Among the jurists were lifetime awardees Guyanese Sir Sridat Ramphal, who was Secretary General of the Commonwealth for 3 consecutive terms, Jamaican Judge Patrick Robinson, who was a former president of the International Court of Justice, Trinidadian Justice Anthony Luckey of the International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea, and Guyanese Nationals Ambassador Dr. Bertrand Ramcharan of the United Nations Refugee Office, and Professor Duke Pollard, who served as a judge on the CCJ. CCJ President Justice Adrian Saunders praised the awardees and pointed to the fact that the Caribbean has always played an outsized role in the field of international law. He said that the respect and acclaim that the international community has had and continues to have for Caribbean jurists have continued unabated. Here's the full list of Hall of Fame inductees, and you can also find it at today.caricom.org. The CARICOM Secretariat joins the rest of the region in observing Caribbean Statistics Day on the 15th of October. The day will be observed under the theme, Building Resilience in the Caribbean Community. In a message to mark the occasion, CARICOM Secretary General Ambassador Erwin LaRocque encouraged everyone to reflect on the power of statistics and how it impacts our daily lives, including in life and death situations such as natural disasters that affect us so often in CARICOM. Mr. Roger Rupchand of the Regional Statistics Department here at the CARICOM Secretariat tells us about the significance of the day.
In terms of objectives, it's essentially to raise the profile of statistics in the CARICOM region. It's also used as a call to intensify the call for reliable and timely data for policymakers, students, researchers, even business owners, so they can have data to make informed choices and decisions. Now, why is statistics so difficult to grasp? I guess in some cases, people just have a sort of negative mindset to it. People think it is hard, maybe even a bit boring. But the truth is, I don't think people realize how useful statistics is in everyday life and how often we even use data without even realizing, right? So it's not only government officials or technical people who use data. If you see, for example, in sports, more and more data is being used to measure performances of like athletes, right? The traffic lights, for example, we take it for granted how the timings maybe is set, but ideally some amount of data would have gone into that. So for example, how many vehicles pass through a certain junction, let's say in a minute, all right, and you could do a trend that's over a period of a week or so, and then you could say, okay, the green light at this junction needs to be no more than 30 seconds, all right, but that's based on numbers and data that you would have collected. Or the Secretariat is doing a number of things. We have an in-house seminar in collaboration with our colleagues from the Agriculture Program, ICT 4D and HSD, and we've also had a primary school and secondary school quiz, right? The finals which will be held on Caribbean Statistics Day itself. And in member states, well, the individual statistical office in member states generally have some sort of activity surrounding the day itself. It varies. For example, the Guyana office has an exhibition on the day itself, which will be open to the public as well.
Former Prime Minister of Jamaica, P.J. Patterson, presented an autographed copy of his new book, My Political Journey, to CARICOM Secretary General Ambassador Erwin LaRocque. The former Prime Minister met the Secretary General at the CARICOM Secretariat headquarters in Georgetown, Guyana, on Monday, the 7th of October. My Political Journey, which was launched in Jamaica last year, chronicles memoirs of the private and public exploits of Mr. Patterson, who served as Jamaica's 6th Prime Minister for 14 years, from 1992 to 2006. For these and other stories, visit the CARICOM website at caricom.org or the CARICOM news site at today.caricom.org. Like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.
CARICOM News Time was brought to you by Dodgen Global.
Outsourced finance and accounting service. Growing companies face a challenge. For you to stay focused on building your business, you need solid financial management with a dependable accounting function, a resource you may not have in-house. That's where we come in. Dodgen Global provides startups and other businesses with outsourced accounting and finance solutions on a fixed fee basis. No matter what your size or fundraising status, we can tailor our services to fit your needs at every stage of your company's life cycle. Whether you want to add expertise to your existing team or completely outsource your accounting and finance functions, we offer reliable and economical options, including accounting system installations and upgrades, from simple to complex, help establishing preferred banking, legal, payroll, benefits, and HR relationships, paperless online bill payment and bookkeeping, financial reporting and advice for management and investors, financial statement audit management, sales tax compliance. Our team can help you make smarter, more effective decisions. Let's have a conversation. Contact us at email info@dodgen.global. Website https://dodgen.global.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Evelyn Harris is a maroon healer in Jamaica. She has spent decades making a living from her knowledge of Jamaican plants and their healing properties. The products she makes from these plants are in constant demand, and she's happy to be able to help others. She is symbolic of many persons in the Caribbean whose traditional knowledge is a rich and often unacknowledged resource.
You have to be curious to learn about herbs. This is dog's blood, and this one is good for infection or black tube. And this one is piaba, and the piaba is what good for women who's going through menopause.
She, like many others in the region, can share stories of how her knowledge has contributed to research without being properly credited or compensated. But all that will change as more Caribbean countries are getting on board with a Nagoya Protocol that will protect knowledge held by persons like Evelyn and will serve to preserve the natural resources she depends on. The Nagoya Protocol is an international agreement that focuses on the fair and equitable sharing of the benefits from the sustainable use of genetic resources. It is an agreement that researchers and prospective business developers that use the Caribbean's natural resources need to be aware of.
The Caribbean region has an abundant variety of marine and terrestrial biodiversity, including a high number of endemic species of flora and fauna. This richness is combined with a mix of cultures and traditional knowledge. Also, it is clear that Caribbean countries recognize the importance of their unique genetic resources and associated traditional knowledge, and at the same time know that sharing the benefits of the utilization of these resources can be a way to protect the rich natural resources and bring prosperity to Caribbean people.
The International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, in partnership with the United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, and the Global Environment Facility, GEF, is working with regional governments, research institutions, and other partners in the Caribbean to support countries to promote the sustainable use of the region's resources.
The needs are envisioned at 3 levels. One is at local levels, working with local communities and indigenous groups. The second level is the national level, working mainly with government and key line agencies that are going to be somehow responsible to implement the protocol, that have competencies according to the national law and the international legislation. And the third level is the regional level, working with CARICOM, for example, with OECS, other regional bodies like tourism organizations or other pertinent bodies that has responsibilities as well in the provision of the Nagoya Protocol.
Regulations will also be established for prior informed consent to access resources and the negotiation of mutually agreed terms to maximize the benefits of the protocol.
The Nagoya Protocol specifically deals with the issue of access to genetic resources
and the sharing of the benefits that are gained from those resources. Now, if you think about the issue of sustainable development, if you think about the issue of natural resource management, it is necessary for these countries, who in most cases are small island developing states or developing countries, they need resources to be able to protect these natural resources that we have, these genetic resources. And so any avenue that is going to assist with making sure that some of these benefits come back in order to sustainably use these resources is something that the IUCN is always interested in providing.
The Bahamas, for example, is a hotspot for access to genetic resources for research and development. But only in one case of successful commercialization has benefit sharing with a country on the basis of an ABS contract took place.
There is a soft coral, which is a wavy coral. It's harvested annually in the Bahamas. And an extract from that was the first source of chemicals which are used today in skin revitalizing anti-aging creams. One of the researchers from the University of California came to the Bahamas and discovered a class of compounds which have anti-inflammatory properties. Later on, over 100 products in the world have been developed from the extracts from this coral.
For practitioners such as Dr. Sylvia Mitchell, the protocol will change the way how local communities and indigenous people like the Amerindians, Maroons, and Rastafarians operate.
The indigenous and local communities have to be part of the process. A very important part that the Nagoya Protocol recognizes in this whole value chain is that there are local indigenous communities all over the biodiversity-rich areas that have, over many, many generations, developed recipes. And when you develop products in the end, many, many years later, creams, anti-cancer, whatever, many times that traditional knowledge has been taken into account, but it doesn't filter back to those local communities.
Several Caribbean countries have already started putting in the framework to benefit from the implementation of the Nagoya Protocol. In Guyana, certain key steps have been taken.
Guyana already had a system in place with regards to granting access to its genetic resources. And that system is basically done through the Environmental Protection Agency. We're the agency responsible for granting all access to persons coming into the country to do research. If persons want to enter a specific community to access a specific resource, they have to get the consent of that community. When that consent is received, what they do is they have to submit that to, we have Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs. And they would usually issue official permission saying the community has no objection with this person coming in to do such and such. When we have that, then we would issue our permit.
For Antigua and Barbuda, much has already been done, as these islands are in the process of depositing their ratification instrument.
This project will allow us to develop our regulations, to develop our policy, to set up our institutional infrastructure to now manage the issues. We don't know when any genetic materials and the associated traditional knowledge are being taken out of the country. We're not aware. It's only those people who will inform certain agencies or certain government agencies that they're taking them out. That only happens occasionally. But in instituting this Nagoya Protocol, in instituting our ABS regulations and policy, we'll be able to finally have a system to regulate this process.
The Nagoya Protocol is helping to preserve traditional knowledge that could be lost as elders die.
Over a period of time, people will come there, people have their complaints, people want to be treated for some ailments or whatever, and people just community folks will do what they have to do for them, but not necessarily telling them, you know, what is it I have done for you. Okay, if you come, you have a problem with your belly or your back or your shoulder or whatever, you you will get the treatment for it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to know all the ingredients and stuff that goes into it. And even sometimes if people would probably show to you, you might see an ingredient or two that they use, but it would be probably the least important of the ingredient that you would have seen.
As the Caribbean embraces new opportunities to benefit from our biological resources, we look to the future.
I represent 11 parishes across the island which have a membership about 5,000. These are traditional farmers who have been growing marijuana illegally for years. Now that we are on the way to have a formal industry, we are working hard to allow standards to fit their needs as grassroots people while working with governments and agencies across the world.
The Nagoya Protocol is opening doors for Caribbean people.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Business Access TV is here at the Carib Cinema for Yellow Digicon 2018, dubbed Digital Marketing Innovation Ready for Tomorrow. I'm your host, Amita Prasadwe. Please stay tuned to Business Access TV for highlights.
As businesses, we need to recognize that consumer-centric advertising, consumer-centric marketing needs to be the order of the day. Because the consumer now has a lot more options. That is because the internet and technology continues to permeate globally. So there are actually over 4 billion internet users globally. That was since the beginning of 2018. That represents over 54% of the global population. And that number continues to rise. Over 3.2 billion social media users, 42% penetration. Did you know that your WhatsApp, which is very popular in the Caribbean, there are over 38 million messages sent every 60 seconds. In every 60 seconds, YouTube, there are over 4.3 million videos that are viewed. It means that with this proliferation of content, brands have to wade through all of that information, all of that noise, to be able to zero in on who the customer is. And that is why the customer has so much power, because they can choose not to be exposed or to consume your information. Social media is excellent, and the Google Display Network, pushing ads, is excellent at bringing interest, bringing awareness to your brand or your product. But having created that awareness, what then? Are we still expecting that customers will actually buy the first time they become exposed to your product? That, if you are expecting that, then you're in for a rude awakening. You have to court them. They have to be channeled or ushered along the sales funnel. And so, after they've been exposed to your brand in the mobile app, on a website, on social media, how do you communicate? What is your value proposition? And that is when you usher them down now to hopefully a place, an online asset that will be able to communicate more directly. Usually that's a customized landing page. Usually that's your website or to your mobile app. Something that will be able to create that dialogue. And that is where things like search engine marketing will come in, and things like remarketing, different online assets, digital marketing tools that will be able to continue that conversation until they get to the point at which they say, yes, here is my money in exchange for that good or product or service. And beyond that, you continue to develop that relationship, again incorporating social media, but the strategy from your social media at that point must be different from what it was in just bringing general awareness. Because now you're developing an advocate relationship. One of the most important things that come out of the millennial mindset is experience, experiential marketing. Focus on the experience, both online and offline, because everybody's aware, I'm sure, that if you have a negative experience, that will cost you in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of reputation. And so guard your integrity, guard the experience with your business fiercely. Not every product that you offer will appeal to everybody. Understand who is your ideal customer for this product or service or brand at this particular time. And once you develop that persona, you start to collect information about them. Things like, what platforms do they use? Are they on all multimedia? Do you use TV here? Do you use outdoor? Do you use mobile only? Do you use social media? Where are they located? Where do they work? Where do they live? And so where do you reach them? What are the attributes? What are they interested in? Because if they're interested in motor vehicles, then you can reach them while they're looking at something related to motor vehicles. Because you're focusing on the individual. Ensure that your website is mobile friendly, is mobile enabled. Because we know that most of the searches, most of the interactions will come from a mobile device. And if your website is designed or optimized for a desktop device, then chances are the mobile experience will be less than optimal. We're talking about the future, eh? Customers now are demanding not only to have a good experience on your website, and that's it. Because they're not staying in front of the computer all day. They want that same experience on their mobile device. And it follows them in store. And from in store, back to the website. And it continues, it's seamless. That doesn't just happen overnight. And we as businesses in Jamaica and in the Caribbean need to understand and ensure that we embrace that.
Your audience seems very engaged today. What's the feedback like?
The feedback has been phenomenal. We did this same exact conference in Cayman. We had about 140 people. The feedback was good. We now have close to 400 people here today, and the feedback is much better than it was in Cayman. I think the energy, the questions that are coming out, the insights that are coming out, I think is good. Not only in the quality of the presentations, but also the content that is being disseminated to a wide cross-section of businesses, small, medium, and large. And I think based on that premise, I would regard today's conference as a resounding success.
So how much of a positive impact does digital marketing conferences like these have for Yellow Media Group?
It has tremendous value as it relates to establishing and reinforcing Yellow Media Group as a leader in the digital space, not only in Jamaica, but across the region. As well as, and I think more importantly, a very positive impact on our customers. Because the truth of the matter is that while we do sell digital, this conference is not only designed to focus around products that we sell. It is intended to really raise the awareness and the strategy level that businesses can utilize digital marketing and the different tools and the different benefits to incorporate and fine-tune their own strategies to be able to step into the 21st century and actually reach their customers in a meaningful way and maximize that return on investment.
As 2018, the digital marketing space continues to change. What would you say are some newer challenges that are now facing the Jamaican digital marketing landscape?
I think one of the major challenges I have found is that there is not an aggressive adoption of the importance of digital marketing to most businesses. Fact of the matter is that still it's regarded as a bolt-on. It is a whatever budget is left after we've done everything else that is important that we'll dedicate to marketing and then digital marketing. Because of how digital marketing is firmly rooted in the core structure of most businesses, I think local businesses need to more readily embrace the importance of digital marketing in actually how to reach and communicate with customers, generate leads, and then focusing on how to move those leads through the sales funnel to an actual sale, and better yet, get them to become loyal, become brand advocates. And so, businesses, I think, will definitely benefit more in terms of revenue from courting existing customers rather than investing over and over just to court brand new customers.
When it comes to the world of online reviews, one of the things that's really important is to engage with them, right? You cannot hide from them because they tend to have this sort of inevitability about them, right? People are going to be online looking at businesses, trying to find out information about online reviews one way or the other. If you're not on a review site, it's really important that you put your business on review sites because frankly, consumers more often than not actually have the ability through the platforms to list your business on your behalf. But why are consumers going to review sites in the first place, right? Why are consumers going out there and why are they going and seeking out this information on businesses that they're going to spend money with? And why are they doing it in droves? 97% of consumers last year used an online review site to find a local business. Raise your hand if you've ever looked up a business online before you went there. I expect everybody's hand to be up, right? So why are they doing this? Well, online review sites are no different than word of mouth, right? They are pretty much exactly the same. But rather than listening to one person at brunch or at church or in your community center, whatever it might be, you're getting the collective knowledge of a group of people, of an audience of people. So that one outlier tends to be balanced out. Businesses can say whatever they want about themselves. World famous, grandma's best, world renowned. Rashid called me an internationally renowned speaker. Thank you. I'm a take it, right? Because I can take a compliment. That's an art. But that might be a little bit of an exaggeration. But the point is that brands can say whatever they want about themselves. And consumers are savvy to that now. Right? They're sophisticated, they're educated. They know that a brand can say whatever they want about themselves. So they're going to go out there and they're going to do their due diligence. And they're going to go out there and see whether or not a brand is truly being authentic. Right? Are they truly measuring up to the promise that they're putting out there? And brand promise is such an interesting idea, right? Brand promise is so complicated because brand promise is no longer a mission statement. It's all of the things that are out in the world that are about your business that, when summed, equal your brand promise. When you're setting yourself on a local business directory or review site, the thing that's really nice is you don't actually have to go on there and spend that much time proactively managing it. Maybe it's something you check once a week or every 2 weeks, whatever it is. But you do need to take a little bit of time to set it up and make it unique. So make sure that you're in the categories that make the most sense for your business, but also make sure that the way that you're talking about your business is compelling, right? Photos are going to be a really big differentiator between you and people and other businesses in the area because that is a much more telling idea and much more telling example of what you do and what makes you so unique. So make sure that you're uploading at least 10 photos to your pages. And with your photos, don't just do your logo and your product offering and whatever. Focus on the people and the team because that is the heart of any business. It's the people who spend so much time doing that, right? Next thing, set yourself up to start taking some reviews in those business details, right? Do you take credit cards, things like that? Those are the little things that consumers might be looking for that it's going to be really, really helpful to have on there. Just like Rashid was saying, if you have beach access, you want to make sure that those types of additional details, because you don't know how consumers are searching necessarily, you want to make sure that you're casting a wide net for everything that you do. So don't get lazy. Make sure that you take the time and you set yourself up correctly, and then every 6 months or so, update as there are changes to your business. So again, basic business information about your business and photos. If one person has given you a negative review, that means that there are 99 people who probably thought the exact same thing, but never took the time to write it down. So as a business, the people that you should be afraid of are not the one-star reviewers. It's the people who walk away and don't tell you why they're walking away. People walk away and say, I wouldn't go back there, but never tell that business why. Because the one-star is, they love you enough to tell you why they hate you. Right? They're giving you the feedback to improve and to grow. We spend over $500 billion a year on advertising, about $9 billion a year on customer service. That is such a disconnect. Because it's your existing customers who are going to drive the most revenues for your business. So that's why the final step here is staying engaged. Stay connected, stay logged in, check your page, deliver feedback in your weekly team meetings, whatever it might be. Make sure that you are staying on top of it and that nothing is slipping through the cracks.
What are your thoughts on Yellow DigiCon?
I'm excited. When I saw it at first, I was like, okay, I need to see what I can learn as much as possible because I'm at a stage where I'm trying to grow. And I think this is very good for someone who's trying to grow not just their business, but their self and their experience.
It's relatively early, but have you learned anything thus far?
Definitely. I took some notes, especially with the presentation by John Carl about the reviews. That's where most of my notes came from because it's not something that was at the forefront of my mind, but now I'm considering everything that might be as of equal importance as many other marketing functions that I do.
So give us some feedback on your presentation.
So one of the things that I noticed with the audience is, one, the amount of energy was insane, but also the kind of fear of online reviews. And I think that's a really natural thing. I think people tend to be nervous that, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to get rejected or I'm going to get negative feedback, which is a natural fear when you're a small business owner and your reputation is a lot of times tied to your revenues. But what people don't understand, I think what people need to embrace is that every single business, every single person has the opportunity to improve and the opportunity to grow. So online reviews and feedback is the only way that you can do it, and it's the only way that you can really build a sustainable business. So I think that was one of the most exciting things to communicate to people is that, online reviews are not something to just be afraid of. It's something that you embrace and you use and is a tool that can help you be better every single day.
What are your overall views on Yellow DigiCon?
I think this conference is wonderful. Anytime that you can get people out of being in front of their computers or off their cell phones and in person, you will always, the connections that you make in real life are so valuable and more valuable than the connections that you make solely digitally. Connecting with somebody in person is much better than connecting with somebody on LinkedIn because you actually get to experience and understand and learn about that person. And those connections, from a small business perspective, are the ones that you can take back to your business and that then become tools for you, not just kind of these amorphous alien, interactions.
Stay tuned for more Yellow DigiCon after the break.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On point, dissecting the issues. Offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Stay current and gain more information on the ever-evolving industry of real estate on Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back and thank you for joining Business Access TV. We go straight to stage with the Yellow DigiCon 2018 highlights.
So let's talk about the new global customer, okay? The new global traveler. Because you need to understand what those expectations are in those consumers that are coming into your market, who are actively looking for you while they're here, okay? So they value your local perspective. We want authenticity, we want adventure, we want jerk chicken. And we want it on the side of the road, right? That's what we want. And I'm gonna search for jerk chicken at the side of the road. So we gotta engage, we have to listen, we have to respond, and not just for 2 reviews, always on, right? And further than that, we need to know if it's working. We need to define our success metrics. And most importantly, we need to tell our stories. The expectation now is that consumers, not just travelers, but consumers want direct connect with brands. They expect immediate responses. They expect accurate information. Don't send me in the wrong direction with an unmarked pin on a map. That's not going to make me very happy. Also, Surprise and delight me. Tell me why I need to come to you. Give me that excitement about why I need to come to you, because sure enough, I'm going to share my experiences. I tell you, whoever's followed me on Instagram, look out, because there is just, a slew of my adventures happening in my stories, and because you know what, that's what I want to do. I want to show. I'm not going to lie. There's a bit of a snowstorm in April in Canada right now, like a really bad one with ice. Guess what I've been posting? That's right. Sun, cocktails, on the beach. I'm having fun in Jamaica. That's right. So I want to do that because we like to brag, right? So leverage that. Create those opportunities to engage and listen and share that stuff because they want you to be the personality. So if we're listening and responding, that means we could actually be listening and responding even on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. With posts like this from real people, we could be responding to them directly. We can find this content through hashtags, right? And, listen and sort of respond. And if you are that brand, not the thank you for posting, but, great shot, or ask them even to use their content. Video content is king. Also is live streaming. I'm sure many of you are. Is anyone live streaming this right now on Instagram or Twitter? Very big trend, very big trend. And now, I can tell you right now, I was Facebook Living as I was walking on the beach to my kids. They weren't too happy about that. Oops. But it is a really big part, right? So share that content. Use your social pages to reshare that content. Comment on those user posts. And it's not just Instagram and Twitter. It is also YouTube. It's also other social channels. It's review sites, okay? So mix up this content. Now let's take it back to how you can actually leverage these trends and leverage these conversations, right? So here we go. A couple, really cool things. I was so happily surprised last night when I was doing some searches for some local businesses that were doing a really great job. Are they in here at all? Right? So their food is good, but guess what? They're also really good at sharing their stories. And they're also really good at listening to their customers. So for example, there were quite a few posts on these with comments saying, what was this one? I went for dinner last night and you were closed. Perfect opportunity, right, to listen and respond, saying, we are very sorry we missed you. We'll be waiting with your favorites tomorrow. Simple. Simple. It's the best marketing vehicle there's ever been. It's got to be authentic, very authentic. Not, we've got a special on moringa. That doesn't work anymore in the conversation economy, right? It needs to be a very powerful narrative. So the pushed out content, or I would call brand owned content, should be incorporating the same tone, right? So even your brand's posts that you're putting on to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere need to kind of adjust to be more conversational and creative, right? And to invite responses. Facebook and Instagram specifically are a pure media channel. No free reach, pure media channel. Although very efficient and very effective because massive population of people are communicating it on and around it every single day. So yes, you need to be there, right? You need to be unique. You need to show that off. You need to be fun or quirky, if that's your brand. Or you need to be really reserved and smart, if that's your brand. This is what you need to do. You need to resonate with your target audience. Your content, your personality, your conversations, this is the new marketing, okay? Shift it a little bit more. I'm gonna get a little bit deeper because this is part of it, okay? You also now as a business need to be always on all the time. This goes beyond the review sites. This goes into Facebook reviews, Facebook send messages. How many in here have their send message enabled right now? We're getting to a place where we as customers expect it always on. If it can't be on, Then you create sort of a frequently asked questions, and can I see a menu, you know, that sort of thing. But you need to show that you're always listening and responding. Note that customers today expect a 6-hour response. I would say on Facebook specifically, I'd say that's shrunk, okay? So reviews are also happening on Facebook, and they're very important, okay? Facebook reviews are extremely important, as are all of the other review sites, equally important. Directory sites and review sites such as Yellow are extremely important, and you need to listen, you need to ensure your listings are accurate, and you need to drive those customers then to a conversion, okay? And if you don't do that, to the reference John made about Googling it, you won't appear. So actually reviews are now impacting your distribution and your ability to be found by customers. And this is across the board. This isn't just Yelp, this isn't just TripAdvisor, everywhere, okay? So they need to be managed. So respond quickly, encourage reviews, and always answer.
How important is it for business owners, marketing experts in general, to learn the fundamentals of digital marketing?
That's an excellent question. I just had that same discussion. I would say that fundamentals have to be there, everybody, and I just discussed the fact that I believe, especially here in Jamaica, you have a very young, vibrant business community, it seems. The fundamentals are the key. So what I would say is that the universities around here and the education, that is your opportunity to get the fundamentals into that next up-and-coming group, and it's critical because the other thing is this space and consumer behavior will continue to evolve. So if we have a great grasp of kind of how we've gotten here and how quickly that has changed, but we understand it's basic marketing. It's no different, it's just online.
What would you say are the main takeaways of your presentation today?
Well, I had some other great colleagues who talked a lot about strategy and return on investment and how to measure and what resources and, you know, reviews and how to apply. So my background is really in tourism and hospitality as well as strategy. So I really felt that because Jamaica in itself is such an iconic travel brand and you're known across the globe. So it was my opportunity to say, hey, these conversations about your brand around your core brand pillars like your music and your culture and the people and the food, these are the things that you can tap into, right? So I really talked about untapping the potential of, you know, the buzz and the conversations going on, and not just on the social networks that you're comfortable listening to or engaging in, but really honing in on what are your inbound, you know, travelers expecting from you and where are they going to talk about your brand. And so really I just talked about, you know, I gave some examples on how to listen, how to respond, not to sell, and really just focused in on that potential.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access. Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV. Cameo brings the creative industries to life, delighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but four walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
How many of you all use a marketing plan on the daily basis? You execute it. Ooh, 1 out of many. 2, 3, maybe 10, right? For the rest of you, how will you think about how you're executing marketing tactics without a plan? You don't know what to do. You don't know your expectations. And so you celebrate that one kind of comment. Who posts and they get one comment and they go, yay, social media. Right? It's so true, right? You go, yay, this works. And then you get no sales from it. No one's converting. You go, boo, social media, I hate it. Well, we have to start realistically understanding through first developing a marketing plan so you can understand what a lead is and your expectations. Next is, you don't have a focus. No, you don't. You may believe you do. So target marketing is crazy. It can be crazy sometimes and very difficult. So how many of you all right now in your marketing campaigns are targeting more than 4 target audiences? Yeah, I know, you're out there. You don't want to raise your hand, right? Because you know where I'm going with this, right? 1 target audience. You got 1 target. How many of you are targeting? What are you targeting? Nobody's targeting? You're not doing business? You're just kind of waiting for them to come? You're going, whoever buys my business, I'm all right with it, right? I want that to stop, right? I want that to stop. I absolutely want you to start developing a more focused marketing plan so you can get the leads that you want. Because who wants to make money? All of us, right? Next is, we confuse sales efforts with marketing efforts. So you believe that your marketing is going to get you paid. So listen closely to my simple solution so you can understand. Marketing gets you leads, sales gets you paid. So now we're going to start focusing on practicing more efforts that will get us leads so that we can cipher into getting paid. Here's the reality of marketing. It is for your customer for tomorrow. Marketing is about sustainability, not immediate profitability. And so we believe that if we do marketing, that tomorrow you will get paid. And it's not true. Tomorrow you will have the interest and attraction of a person when you market correctly. On the top half of our funnel is marketing efforts. It's awareness and interest. The bottom half is decision and action. Marketing, especially in social media, is going to help you get attention so you can get interest, so that you can start to do sales activities to have them make that decision. So we have to figure out how many leads is possible and how many leads you want to get when you're marketing, when you're doing your marketing to social media. So how many? What does that look like? 80-20 rule. Anybody know about the Pareto rule? I know, right? So at first glance, this says 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Now that sounds pretty cool, right? You mean to tell me only 20% of my efforts? I could do like 20% and like I'm gonna get 80% reward from doing 20%? That's not what it means at all. You guys know this, right? So in marketing, it's 80% of your leads should come from 20% of your marketing. That means your marketing has to be so tight. It has to be so direct, so specific that you're getting the majority of your leads from it. So it actually means, this Pareto rule means that you need to get more efforts, more tight with your targeting market. So how do you do that when you generate leads? It's going to help you to increase your sales by condensing down your You're going to be able to expand yourself. I know that sounds kind of crazy, like retract to expand. Absolutely, because you'll have more focused efforts and you'll be actually attracting the people who want to buy your things. So it is important to know that when you get better leads, increasing the sales is important. All money is not good money, is it, right? We have some, yeah, I know. We have some of those clients, or some of those clients we wish we didn't have. It costs too much to even deal with them in the first place because they're not your target. You want to start really developing leads that are going to get you paid the way you want to get paid. It's also going to help you make better budget decisions. How many of you all have, I'm laughing because you're going to laugh at the question I'm going to ask you. How many of you all have marketing budgets? Great. Marketing budget. What is a marketing budget, right? So here's a simple method about marketing budgets for you. And you should have a marketing budget. We're marketers. You should have a marketing budget. How much are you willing to spend inside of the grocery store on a particular product? So think of it that way. You really need to start investing in your marketing because you cannot just post and people appear. If you build it, they won't come. In fact, you need to build it, drag them over there, beat them in the head. You have to get them to see. In fact, if you didn't know, it takes 7 times in marketing for someone to see an ad for them to pay attention. Now, how many of you have paid attention 7 times to the same ad? I know, non-existent. So I'm going to teach you some ways to get you in front of your ideal audience to help you make better budget decisions. Well, I qualify these by the number of people that I actually talk to during the week. Oftentimes, specifically me, I use LinkedIn to have conversations, at least 10 conversations a week with people. With my percentage, we talked about 80-20, but I'm in that kind of a miracle lane where out of every 10 people I talk to, 7 of them buy something from me. So whether it's a book, because they like me. You like me. They like me. You like me. I know you like me. If you don't, you will after this. They know, like, and trust me, right? How many of you all buy from strangers? Hey, I got some shoestrings. You want to buy them? Right, the string, like, you don't need them, right? It's strange. But if you knew me and you were comfortable with me, you'd buy my shoestrings. So it's important, it is absolutely important to engage and to qualify those people that you want to buy what you have, right? Like, shares, and comments can be leads if you respond back. How many of you all get likes on your post and don't say anything? I know, right? So you look at it or you say thank you. That's polite. Then what happens? It's a lead. They're interested. They're attracted, apparently, because they took the time to like. Now, what about the people who love it, especially on Facebook? They put the love, and that takes a lot of effort because I have to move the thing, right? So that means I really like you because I took the effort, the other 10 seconds to actually place it to love you. You have to start talking to those people. Say hello to them and more than hello. Take them to your inbox. Have a discussion. Okay, so you're tired of the leads, you know how to qualify leads, you're ready to get to the good part, right? What platform should you be on to get these leads? So Facebook is large in Jamaica, YouTube is large in Jamaica. You guys are using Facebook much more than any platform. I'm sorry, content managers, I know you're not gonna like this. Content is becoming the new spam. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're putting out content, who's reading it? I know you're not. You're not, Joel. I know you're not reading the content. You're not reading content. So I want you to start building content for your audience. In order to do that, you're going to have to get to know them. Think resource, not retail. Stop selling to people. Nobody wants a used car salesman, please. They want a resource. They want to talk to people, right? They want to know, like, and trust you so they can buy you. And video. You cannot make a mistake with that on Facebook, and it lends to a more casual conversation. All right, Pinterest. So I know that you're using it to search, right? I want you guys to start using it to lead to inquiries because you want leads. How you can do that, here's one way. Create a contest and get them to your website, right? Create a contest on Pinterest because they're searching to get onto your website. That way you can lead them to becoming customers. Twitter. Did you know you have to tweet 8 to 20 times a day? No, you didn't, did you? A tweet life lasts 30 seconds. No. So if you're tweeting, it's the newsroom. You want to lead them to a chat. That way that they can be a lead. All of this is about engagement. Every piece of it, every piece of social media is about media for you to be social. So you have to get engaging. Stop thinking that posting and going will help you. All right, these are my favorite, Instagram and LinkedIn. This is where the magic happens in business. I told you that my closing rate is 70%. I can't make this up. I don't make this up. There is where the people, the decision makers are there. They're making decisions. Start to make partnerships. I don't care if you have your curry chicken stand on the side. It's still, you can make business partners. Maybe there's some way you can possibly. I'm telling you, this is not unbelievable. It happens every day. I can't emphasize enough that you need to start to invest in your marketing so that you can build better leads, so you can make more money, because after all, isn't that the point? Thank you, guys.
So it's your first Yellow DigiCon experience. Talk to us.
Exciting. I love Jamaica DigiCon. You guys are really engaging, involved, knowledgeable. You know exactly what you want. You want to ask questions. It's straightforward, and I can appreciate that because you want to grow. Like, these businesses absolutely want to grow, and I'm here to help. I was here to help.
What would you say is the main takeaway of your presentation today?
I keep it simple. Don't oversimplify the process of trying to get all this data, use all these platforms without actually creating a plan. So keep it simple.
Word of advice to the marketers here today.
Sales gets you paid. Marketing gets you leads. And you really need to understand that process first, and don't discount your marketing because it's not getting you sales, because it's not supposed to.
What are your thoughts on today's staging of the Yellow DigiCon?
Awesome, just awesome. We've had digital conferences in the past, but this one tops it all. I think it's just the new areas that we're featuring, mobile marketing, social media management, and social media marketing, so it just tops all the others. And of course, we're taking it from an international perspective. So far, in comparing, the turnout has been super compared to previous years. So it just shows that DigiCon is growing.
You mentioned international. Talk to us about your presenters here today.
Yes, so we have presenters from Canada and from the US. We have Alicia Whalen, who dealt with social media management. We have Sherry Washington, who spoke about, just getting leads online. And what I like about her presentation, she clarified outrightly the misconception about marketing versus sales. And based on the response from the audience, you could see that she was hitting the right notes there. And of course, John Carroll that spoke about getting online reviews. So in summary, and of course, our Google representative will be talking more about mobile marketing.
Why did Yellow feel the need to put on such a conference, Yellow DigiCon?
Because of the growth of digital marketing, we're seeing where more and more persons are spending time online. And of course, digital marketing is really showcasing your goods and services online, be it social media or through your website or through various search engines. So, Yellow would pretty much be irresponsible to not be focusing on that. And of course, our mantra here at Yellow is to just put our customers' businesses in front of their target audience.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
The elite leaders of today are
our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's Season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On point, dissecting the issues. Offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On point. Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
Did you know that Google's algorithms are actually smart enough to differentiate between someone curious about learning about Jamaica, who are interested in traveling to Jamaica, who are already decided that's where I want to go on vacation, I just need to find the best deal, and who've already bought one? And it's not about personal data. We don't have that. It's about understanding the situation. What do you really want to do? That way, we can target you effectively and show you the correct ad or the correct experience and video so you don't have to worry about that. We can also learn a little bit about your behavior, Someone at the beginning with John, I believe it was, or I hope it was with John, they asked a question about Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, how it's really scary how much information companies have about you, right? Well, we at Google don't have your personal information, but we are able to identify common traits that's not identifiable to you. We won't ever be able to zone in on Daniel. Ooh, we know that's Daniel looking at videos about puppies. No. We know that there's a man who's very interested in puppies and who might be interested in buying a new Labrador. So we'll do that. We'll help. And that's what the context is all about. So that in itself means assisting someone, be able to create a business model for assistance means first, you got to show up. What does show up mean? It means, like Target, like a supermarket, it means our attention span is so short that if you're not there when we need you, when we're looking for you, you might as well not be. So let me give you an example, a tangible example that you can copy. We have Target. Target is a supermarket, international. And when we're talking about supermarkets, we're used to the idea that someone has to buy groceries. They have to drive up, choose everything in the store, and then pay and leave. But did you know that Target found the secret formula? Even though we still have to go to the store, we now can pre-shop online. So what happens if we combine the offline experience with the online? We make a seamless omni-channel transition. So what did Target do? They realized they built an online shop. Not because they expected people to buy online, although they did, but they expected to be present whenever they needed. If they were baking a cake and all of a sudden they realized, I'm out of flour, I might as well make a wish list. Hey, I need flour. Remember to buy flour the next time. I really enjoyed that chicken meal I ate, so I got to write down the ingredients. And Target helped with that, helped making a shopping list that ultimately led to people buying more in their store. It was easier for customers to remember what they wanted. So, what does show up mean? It means if you need road assistance 24/7, you gotta be there 24/7. Not being there when they need you the most, when they're scared the most, can also be the key difference between great brand image and normal brand image. It means if you're in the service industry, right? Plumbing, restaurants, guides, surfing lessons, scuba lessons, if you're not there when they need you, when they're curious and impatient in that moment, you might as well not exist. And it's not about appearing sometimes, it's about always appearing. It's about re-engaging, but not spamming. So you have to wise up. How do you wise up? Well, what if I told you that we all have characteristics, likes, and wants that we consciously don't know about? Well, Sonos is an audio company. They build stereos, right? You wouldn't expect them to need a very complex, very complete marketing campaign. But what did Sonos do? They realized that young people love an audio experience. They love quality, they love tenacity, they love power. They want to do parties at night, they want to do parties in their bath, they want to listen to music all the time. So, but Sonos wanted to engage with those users, we wanted to find them, but the truth of the fact is Sonos didn't know how to find those kinds of people. What did they do instead? They connected with online marketing, with partners and premier partners that allowed them to share data, share intent with Google, with Facebook, with Yelp, with everyone. And that in itself, we helped them find the market, be able to identify between the crowd who's more willing and who's ready to buy a new stereo for their home or their bath. So that in itself, we made their targeting more efficient for them. We did all the hard work. You guys just need to be able to want it. And what did that lead to Sonos? That led to an increase in brand, 420%, like you can see in the slide. All of a sudden, college dorms, everyone used Sonos. Before, when we heard audio, maybe we thought Mitsubishi, maybe we thought Sony, Bose, but who knew Sonos even existed? And now he outsells everyone else. He's the number one. And he started small. If you don't believe me, think of the Uber example. We all thought taxi industry was going to stay the same. You know, you're in the curb, try to signal a car in the rain. But all of a sudden, with the comfort and easiness of an app, we can do it every time, every day. So help us help you grow. But to be able to grow, you have to keep up. You have to speed up. Because like I said, we got a very short attention span. Think 3 seconds. That's going to be your rule from now on. If we don't get what we want in 3 seconds, we're gone. We're that impatient with you guys. So then what does that mean? It means that you will lose half of your leads if you don't answer back in 3 seconds. And that doesn't mean a review. That doesn't mean a retweet. That means that if I want to know about your costs for dinner or your travel packages, I expect to be able to find the information in as little as 3 seconds. And since we all love our smartphones and we all love the mobile data in Jamaica, we expect that to be true. Just kidding. But there's a silver lining in it. Did you know that the world average is actually 24 seconds? So, how can the world average be 24 seconds if our attention is only 3? Well, here's the little secret for you guys. All we need to know is get some feedback. Basically, if we go into your mobile website and we start seeing some colors appear, changes, if we see that it's working in less than 3 seconds, that's enough. We'll start eventually paying attention to other information. If it ends or finishes loading in 24 seconds, then that's okay because we got our answer in 3. All of a sudden, it's like we knock on the door and we might hear someone yell, "Coming!" Then we'll wait. We're like, okay, someone heard me. The service is going to come. That's what the 3-second rule meant. But if I knock on the door nobody answers or calls out, and 24 seconds later, you just simply open the door, by then you're going to see nobody. That's what we mean.
Wow, it was a fantastic forum, very informative, and the presentations were they were just to the point and very interesting. There was, some of those long presentations that people will be sleeping before they finish. Nope, wide awake, very interactive. Yeah, it was great. Awesome experience.
And that's it for our highlights of the Yellow DigiCon 2018. I've been your host, Amita Prasadweb, and thank you for watching Business Access TV. Serious about business. Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters.
Call us at 876-291-6233 or 876-376-4225. Email sales@batvja.com. Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this: no more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.
Now presenting the Jamaica Social Investment Fund ICDP Enterprise Development Project. Entrepreneurial Grant Business Pitch.
This project is a $100 million grant that's seeking to target 50 small and micro business enterprises and give them training, capacity development, equipment, permits and license towards the development and the viability of their business. We have made a call for proposal in March of this year for entrepreneurs to submit for the opportunity to receive a grant between $1 and $5 million. We received more than 500 applications, and so we have now shortlisted them to 100. So we've invited that top 100 applicants here today, and they're going to have to pitch their business idea to a panel, and of the 150 will actually transpire and win the opportunity for the grants. One of the primary objectives of what we're doing here is employment. We want the business to be able to sustain not only the principals as the owners, but we also want the business to be able to employ at least 2 people. The next part of it, as we do in all of our projects like this, is it provides a learning instrument of how we can engage small and micro enterprises and take them to the next level.
Why we're doing this rigorous process, because we want to identify the best potential entrepreneurs for this project. And keep in mind that we are speaking about a loan, so we want to ensure that the applicants are committed, and that from a sustainability point of view, that upon receiving the support from JSIP, that in 2 or 3 years, the enterprises will still be operational and the broader objective of the project would be achieved. Once we have now equipped them and they should be ready to start the production line going, we'll then have a mentorship component.
It has been a very competitive process. Jamaica is filled with persons with drive and passion. We're expecting that the best will be selected. And then for those who are not successful, we are also hoping to link them to other providers of services, because I'm telling you today, from what I've seen, it is an excellent, excellent, excellent opportunity. It's worthy of note that many persons coming here today already have some kind of semblance of a business, but they need the additional support to move that business to the other level, as well as some persons are coming with just proposals to start from scratch. On behalf of the JSF, we want to really thank the DBJ and other partners from UE who came to be part of the panel, and just to remind you that the JSF is here and we're investing for community development.